Hey there, everybody. Just wanted to get in here and jump on real quick. It looks like I might be the only one, so that's awesome. But we're going to get started here shortly. So as people jump on, we're just a couple minutes early here, so I'm going to kind of get things set up and do some housekeeping stuff. And I'm actually going to see if I can't get a link out here and make sure that everybody's got a link. So let's doing some quick housekeeping here. And we should have people on shortly. So I've got this recording, but as we know, the way technology goes, sometimes that recording process doesn't work like we always want it to. Hopefully this all goes smoothly as we go. Looks like we got a couple of people on. We got Jesse and Angela on. Great to see you. Thanks for jumping in and joining. We're going to run through today just to kind of fill everybody in. And like I said, I'm recording this as well, so for posterity's sake. Hey, Pete, good to see you. So we're going to run through today just some run through basically some of the ninja hackery that we did on the 10x Secrets launch, and some cool new add-ons that I've got going out, as well as some common questions that come up with things around ClickFunnels, especially lately with video changes and video hosting, with YouTube making some changes recently to their related videos and how that works. A lot of people have been migrating over and away from YouTube, and I highly recommend that you do the same. And then also browsers have changed that they don't allow videos to autoplay anymore. It used to be no autoplay on mobile. Now it's pretty much no autoplay anywhere, unless you've got a highly engaged customer, a highly engaged visitor to your page where they've played video multiple times. Then a lot of times the browsers will detect that, let the videos autoplay then, but you shouldn't ever count on it happening. So what can you do in those scenarios to still engage those people, to actually get somebody, prompt somebody to want to watch the video, want to turn it on, want to see it play, and actually want to see the sound. We'll run through some of that as well. So we've got a few people on here, and we're just now hitting 3 o'clock. So I'll probably give it another minute or so, let people join in, and then we're gonna get started. Most of this will be screen share stuff, so I'll have my video going as well. But if somebody could just drop something in the chat here real quick, just to let me know that the sound is okay, that would be great. That kind of lets me know that everybody's hearing me okay. Definitely want to make sure that piece of tech is working before we get too far down the road. If you've not sat in on one of these training sessions with me before, you'll want to know that I kind of run these very much on the fly. Oh, great. Thanks, Pete. I appreciate that. Looks like the sound is all good. I run these pretty much on the fly. I want it to be a truly live experience. So I want it to be something where where we can have some interaction. And so I don't do a lot of pre-advanced scripting. This is not a, hey, we're going to run, bullet by bullet by bullet and teach everything. I just have some key highlights that I want to hit, but I want it to be as valuable as possible. That requires some interaction. So as you have questions, as you have comments and concerns, I will try and keep an eye on those, and we'll try and make sure and address all those. So if I don't see it right away, I will try and go through at the end at least, and look at any comments, suggestions, questions, and run through it as we go. So there will be some code that I share in here that we walk through. So if you're not a developer, don't worry. I try and explain it as well as possible, but that's also why CF Pro Tools and FunnelU exist, is so that we can share that code easily. And then in those, there's always bigger videos, explainer type videos that will walk through the code step by step for anything that you need to configure, as well as how to use it within ClickFunnels. So I always want to make sure that that stuff is super, super clear. So this is mostly about strategy and about the high level stuff, and walking through some of the code and some of the basic setup. And then any code that we go through will definitely be delivered through members areas in CF Pro Tools and FunnelU in the CF Pro Tools section there, along with videos specific to that code setup. So this is more today to run through the big scope stuff. So definitely have a few people on. It looks like we've got Terry has joined us. Awesome, Terry. Thanks so much for jumping on. And we've got Ingrid as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And let me see if I can get my screen shared up here and get my desktop. So through some of this, you may see that I've got I've got some videos, you know, like right now, you're probably just seeing a plain background, nothing on the page. I'll be doing some stuff on some other screens. I've actually got a 3-monitor setup going here. I've got my laptop monitor as well as my an extra dual monitor setup up above. So sometimes I can't share everything. So I want to, you know, kind of respect privacy and all that stuff as well. So I'll need to do some stuff off screen. So if you don't see it, don't worry. The important stuff I will pull over. Terry says, thanks for the invite. Yeah, Terry, it's great to see you. I appreciate that. And so first off, one big thing here, let me actually fire up a kind of a fresh browser window here and get that going. Let me see if I can't get everything to cooperate here. There we go. And we'll just drag this over on here. So if somebody would give me a quick shout in the chat, let me know that you're able to see a new browser window there for me. That would be great. Again, just hate for anybody to be missing out on the important stuff here. Technology is wonderful, but it always seems to fail us when it's most critical. And that's usually when we're live on a webinar. So okay, awesome. Thanks, Ingrid. Thanks, Terry. Yep, awesome. So we're looking good there. So one big thing I wanted to hit off real quickly, and this has probably been one of the most common questions that's come up in a couple of different groups, but you know, specific to ClickFunnels, but this really doesn't have anything to do with ClickFunnels. This has to do with video in general, and that's hosted videos. The first things that we'll want to bring up is with YouTube videos. So let me just, I'm actually just going to pull up the CF Pro Tools homepage here and show you an example of what I've done recently to kind of fix some of the problems. And as you will see here that when this video comes up on the page here, you'll see the motion but no sound. And that is what we're seeing in a lot of videos nowadays. And so this is kind of the new way we have to do things. It has to be autoplay, muted. So all browsers now, or most browsers, have gone the wayside of saying, hey, we don't want users to get this massive sound interruption. We don't want people to be, especially with more and more traffic being on mobile, and most people want their phones on silent. They're in a workplace, they're in the bathroom, unfortunately. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know. That's a good or bad thing depending on how you look at it. But most people are in a scenario when a video comes up, they may not want it to play sound right away. So when that's the scenario, browsers have just said, you know what, we are going to not allow a video to play or to autoplay if this sound is enabled. So most places where you embed video, you can set it to autoplay, but it does autoplay muted. And so especially with YouTube. And so what you need to do in order to do that, we found the best solution is to be able to either have some custom code that turns on the muted feature of the video so that it allows it to autoplay motion. This is especially great if you can have captions. Like I need to go through and probably have this caption and have, you know, send it to rev.com or something and get captions created and have this closed captioning at the bottom so people can actually read the text as it goes. It might be a little hard to read unless you read really, really fast to read me as I talk. I don't know. Some people say I talk way too fast, and I probably tend to agree with them a little bit. But that would be great. That's what I would recommend, is something like this where you've got an option to click to turn on the sound. You've got a big play button that says, hey, do you want to play this? And then some sort of closed captioning would be ideal. You know, definitely don't do as I do as I say. I would recommend that you have some closed captioning if you have that opportunity. The next thing that this does is it actually, you can sit and see the motion, but what you don't want to have happen a lot of times is that you don't want somebody to jump into the middle of a video. Maybe they've already missed out on the most important pieces of what you have to say. You don't want them to jump into the middle. You want them to jump into the beginning of the video and start fresh. So what this video does is, and I'll just click this on, so I apologize for the sound here real quickly. It should come through. But when I click this to play, and let's see. Oh, you know what? Now it's probably not going to play because I have my headphones in. But this will actually go back to the beginning and start the sound. So if you might be hearing this, I'm not hearing it through my headphones. But this will actually play the sound through. But it goes back and starts at the beginning when they click play at any point. So they could have watched through the entire video and click play. It'll go back to the beginning and start with the sound turned on. And then from there, you can click to pause. So that's what I recommend. Find a solution where you can do that, where when you click to play, it will actually scroll back to the beginning of the video and start again. So I've done that with some custom code, and this is actually hosted with Cloudflare Stream, and I'll be sharing that code here in a bit. But the quickest and easiest solution for this, if you don't want to mess with custom code and it works with ClickFunnels great, is Wistia. So I'm going to actually pull up a Wistia account here. So I'm going to just jump into my Wistia account, and we'll get logged in here real quick. And I'm going to go in. I've got just I don't use Wistia for my video hosting, but I do have it set up for this kind of testing and training. So I've got a quick Wistia video here. And let's see if I can't. I'm going to just, there we go. So now I'm getting sound. So, okay, so on this one, what we want to do, so we've got this video, say this is a video we want to embed into a ClickFunnels page. What's great is all you have to do is grab the Wistia URL and drop it into ClickFunnels. Any settings you make on this video in the Wistia account will automatically apply wherever it's embedded. So this is what you want to do to set this up to allow pretty much what we had just walked through. And that is this, that you want to go to Video Actions, you want to go to Customize. This is the way we're setting up all new videos, especially marketing videos when we do them inside of ClickFunnels. And so you want to go to the Customize, and then on Customize, you're going to get you're going to get these options over here on the side. So one is Controls. So we'll look at Controls, and what we want to have set up for Controls is we want to have the start, we want to check to autoplay. And then it's checked to autoplay, but here's what's going to happen. If you, what this used to be was autoplay, and then you could have play with sound. Well, the problem was it would play with sound, or it would try to play with sound, and if it couldn't, it would just not autoplay at all. So you wouldn't see anything. So Wistia has added this play with sound if possible option. And so what that means is, hey, if I detect that the browser can play the sound, I'm going to go ahead and play it. If the browser can't play the sound because it's not allowed for some reason, your visitor hasn't visited your page enough, they haven't clicked on the page yet, there's not an interaction that allows the sound to play, then go ahead and play, then go ahead and let the video autoplay muted. So then it'll only play the sound if it's possible. If not, it'll play it, it will let the motion play, but it will be muted. And so that's what you want. You want to check the autoplay, and you want it to have play sound if possible. And then you could have a big play button on if you wanted to. Sorry, it's going to kind of keep refreshing these things as I go on. So you can kind of go through some of these options. You can have play bar, you can have small play button, big play button, all that. These are up to you, however you want to set that up. The big ones are autoplay and play sound if possible. And the next for the thumbnail, this is the next big setting that I would recommend that you go with. And that is that you, what type of thumbnail do you want to have? Do you want to have just be a static image? So when it's embedded there, if it can play, great. If not, what you want to do. So we want this, we want the thumbnail type to be video. And what that's going to allow for is that you can actually play a portion of this video as your thumbnail. And so it's going to be, you're going to see the motion, and it's going to loop through that section. And you can actually set how much of that video do you want to loop. So there's a couple cool things about this. If you know you have a segment of your video that is super attention grabbing, that is that, and it is that what's the word I'm looking for? It is that pattern interrupt moment. You know, it's that what the heck just happened moment that somebody sees that, they're like, okay, I gotta see more about this. I gotta see what's going on here. Then you can have your video start and loop over just that segment to, again, grab people's attention. And that's the whole point of the video, right? Is to grab their attention and get them to actually want to click play, want to click, hey, I got to hear what's going on with this. I want to play the sound. So you can actually set it to a moment in the video. You say, hey, I want to be a video. And then down below here, you'll see this green bar. You can actually drag these things and say, okay, I want to play you know, I want to play just a short clip. I want to play, this one is set to, as you might be able to see here, is a 6.51 second clip. You know, you might say, hey, I want to play 10 seconds, I want to loop 10 seconds of this video. We'll do about that. And then you can actually drag where this is at in the video. So you can actually drag through and find the spot in your video that is that most captivating 10 seconds or 20 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever, and have it play from there. And then the other thing you can do is actually have it play the entire video, and it will just run through. So you can just drag that and say, okay, it's going to play the entire 1 minute, 33 second video. and it's just going to autoplay it muted. And so that allows the motion to play, and it gives you the big option that you see, which is going to say click to play. And what happens when you set it up this way is that when they click to play at any point during this thumbnail, the thumbnail actually causes it to go back and start at the beginning. And so let's see what's a good one that we have going now. So if we just go to, of course, if I go to, it's probably going to click me into my account. Let's see. I'm trying to think of one that we've changed recently. .com Secrets book to see if we've got this one set up the same way. Some of these may play a little bit differently because I see them so many times. So this one will probably, so this one's a little bit different. You'll see that, but this one is auto playing muted. So we get the click for sound and then it clicks for the sound. Let's take a look at the Expert Secrets book and see if this one we have set to this new, kind of this new looping mechanism. I think we may. Just a second to load here. Okay, so this is an example of what you see. The video is auto playing and it's muted, and you'll see you're getting this. We're well into the video. We'll just let this run for a few seconds, and you notice it says click to play instead of click for sound. And so what we get here is if at any point here, so you'll notice this is actually just looping through this section. So just watch this video for a second. We've got this set to loop about a 10-second. You are an expert. Boom, and then it goes back to the beginning. Congratulations, you are an expert. So now let's do this. And now it goes back to the beginning. So we've done that with intention. Get your most attention-grabbing snippet, your most attention-grabbing section, and make it loop through that. And then at any point when they click that, click to play, they click the play button, they click the little click to play at the top, then that will restart the video at the beginning. And start it with the sound, so then they can actually listen to it. So that is how we do that with Wistia. I do it with Cloudflare with some custom code. Again, we'll run through that custom code here. In fact, let me actually just jump in. I'm going to close out a few of these, and I'm going to go into another window here. So you bear with me for a second while I start up my QuickFones account. Gotta kind of move some chats and things around here. Is this all making sense so far? If you would give me some feedback in the chat here and let me know that this is all making sense, that everybody is kind of getting this. Looks like we've got a good handful of people on now, so that's great. Let's just run through here. Yeah, hey Jackson, it's good to see you. Jorge, awesome, good to see you, man. Ryan, we got Tom on. So yeah, so it's great to see everybody. Oh, awesome, thanks, Tom. Tom says yes, makes sense. So that's great. That's what we want. We want this to make sense. Definitely feel free to throw in the chat. I've got it open here. I'm trying to get a little better about being able to keep track of all these things. Jorge, awesome, making sense to me. That's great. So let me jump in. I've got another screen going here. Sorry, you're looking at my ugly mug probably on the on my screen, but I'm actually pulling up my QuickFones account in another screen here. And I'm going to pull up some code here to walk through and just kind of show you how I've got this set up. And then let me just, while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and log into Cloudflare and show you how the Cloudflare Stream product works in case you have any interest in doing that. I recommend that. If you don't want to go for a higher end solution like Wistia, I think the minimum business account is like 99 bucks a month. Cloudflare Stream, the way that Cloudflare works it is you pay for the storage, kind of like you would do with Amazon Web Services or an S3 account, where you simply just pay for the amount of data that you store and the amount of data that is used on a monthly basis. Cloudflare does that for video with their Cloudflare Stream product. And so what they do is it's $5 a month per 1,000 minutes of video stored, which is usually going, I mean, that's quite a bit of video. So you're probably going to pay a minimum of $5 a month and probably not much more than that for just storage, unless you do a lot of video hosting. If you do, again, just for every 1,000 minutes of video you store, it's $5 a month. So 2,000 minutes of video, $10 a month. And then it's $1 per every 1,000 minutes of video watched every month. And so I think, you know, I had 17,000 minutes of video watched or something last month, or maybe 12,000 minutes of video watched. And so I had a bill for $17 for video hosting from Cloudflare. So I'm actually going to jump in and just kind of pull up the Cloudflare Stream service and show you that real quickly. So let's go ahead and drag this over. So Cloudflare Stream is actually pretty cool, and that's what I'm using for my video hosting. You certainly don't have to use that. You could just go straight with Wistia. The problem that, it's not really a problem with Wistia, but one of the downfalls of Wistia, Vimeo, some of those other things, hey Terry, it was great to see you. Sorry, real quickly, I got a comment. It looks like Terry's got to jump off, but yes, I will. There is going to be a recording of this. So for everybody that's on, I am recording this now. It is being recorded, and so I will try and share that out in all the best ways possible, assuming that everything finishes properly with the recording. So I will definitely let you know that. So I appreciate y'all. But yes, so Cloudflare Stream gives you this service here. So if you're using a Cloudflare account, you don't even have to be a business user or anything like that. You just simply can send it for just their stream service. You don't even have to use their DNS service. You could just use their stream service if you wanted to. You just need to sign up for a free Cloudflare account. And then when you go into Cloudflare, then you can go in and use Cloudflare Stream. And so if you're using, like this is my CF Pro Tools Cloudflare account. So I've got all my other Cloudflare options, all my DNS and page rules and all that fun stuff. And then there's another service just called Stream. So if you click on that, then it will take you through the sign up process. And then once you're signed up and put in your credit card to make sure they can charge you the $5 a month and for your whatever video hosting that you've used, then you'll get this option where you can simply just drag and drop files right here onto the service, and it will do all the uploading and encoding for you to put it into the best format so that it can be streamed. And then they also take and they push those videos to all their edge servers. So this is the other great thing about it, is that they have a huge, what's called a CDN network, a content delivery network that's hosted around the world in a distributed fashion. So the content is always going to be served from the server that is closest to the person that is consuming it. So that makes your video load super quickly as well. So yeah, so you just drag and drop your files here, and then what you end up with is a list of files like this. And so it just shows you all the different videos you have, which is pretty cool. And so you can see this was an old video I had that was the old CF Pro Tools video, and now this is the new one. You can see, we got a few thousand views, 8 days watched. So that's, I don't know, a little scary that somebody somewhere spent 8 days watching that video at total time, but hopefully it's been useful for somebody. Yeah, so it kind of gives you a little bit of a stats there. You don't have a super robust stats and analytics capability like you have with embedded with Wistia, but it makes it super simple as well. Sorry, I'm going to take a quick drink here. So anyway, so that's how you get your videos on here, and then from there, you also have a couple cool options. Is that you can actually allow this or set this so that it's by default can be allowed embedding anywhere. The other option you have is you can actually put in just a single domain. So you can say, hey, I only want this to be embedded on certain domains. So this gives you some security. So somebody can't just take your link like you can with YouTube, take your YouTube link and put it into their members area. You can actually lock that down. So that's another big benefit of using a hosting platform like Vimeo or Wistia or Cloudflare in this scenario, where you can better secure your videos. So another downfall with YouTube is that if anybody has the URL and it's set to unlisted, you can't stop them from embedding it somewhere else. It doesn't matter where it's at, it can be embedded anywhere. So it's either an all or nothing. You can either embed it or you can't embed it, one or the other. But with Cloudflare, you have the option to say only allow it to be embedded on these domains. And you can actually do multiple domains if you wanted to. So if you wanted to be able to include it in multiple areas, you can. So that's another great option for the Cloudflare solution. So that's one thing that I like a lot about this. And then from here, they give you the options to basically get a link so you can send to somebody so they can watch it directly through Cloudflare's service. And so if we copy that and then open up in a new tab, then we can just go in and it will actually play, inside a player here. This is using the Cloudflare service to actually just watch the video. So you could send somebody directly to the video and nothing but the video right here. So that's one way to do it. And then the other way to do it is actually to get an embed code. And with this embed code, you have the options to, hey, do I want to show the controls? Do I want to autoplay? And do I want to mute? And so those would be the ones that you would grab by default. The problem with using this is it's not one of the default features with ClickFunnels yet. So you can't just drop it in like a video inside of ClickFunnels. You have to actually embed it using the custom HTML element, which I really don't care for because it doesn't show up like a video, but it works and can be a good option if you want to go that route. Otherwise, if you've got a Wistia account, use that. If you've got a Vimeo account, you can use that. I believe they've got some options similar, but they haven't quite caught up with the kind of loop and autoplay back at the beginning, which we really like in Wistia. But this is just the basic Cloudflare inside of Cloudflare. So I'm going to drag this back over here real quick and get into my actual CF Pro Tools page, and I will show you the kind of the custom way we have this set up. So we can run through that and just kind of give you a quick idea of how that might work. I really do think that Cloudflare is going to be the way to go in the future. I think it's as close to self-hosting as you can with something like S3 and Amazon's services. The cost is going to be significantly lower, especially if you get a lot of traffic and only have a few videos. It's going to be a lot lower than what you would see with other tools, which is good. Not that you should always only look at cost. Definitely, there are some big benefits to something like Wistia. But if you're just getting hammered to death with hosting costs for your videos, then this might be an option to look at. So I'm going to jump into here to my CF Pro Tools page. I'm just going to pull up the code so we can kind of see this page and how it's built out. Sorry, bear with me for a second here while I get things loaded up the way that I want before. Gotta get to the right page. That's why I do this off screen, so I don't look like a total fool. I can just tell you I look like a fool. Here we go. Get to the right page. Got to edit the right one. Okay, great. Now we've got this pulled up. So I'm going to drag this back over here. So hopefully you're seeing this okay. And then you can see where that video is on the page. Instead of having the normal video element like you'd see with Vimeo or Wistia or YouTube, this is actually just a custom JavaScript HTML element. So, and inside of this, if we click on this and then click and open the code editor, you'll notice this is the code that actually I get straight from Cloudflare. And so that code is right here. Oop, delete a little too much. So we can see what it has set as autoplay and mute. So this tells your browser to, hey, go ahead and autoplay the motion, but mute the sound so that the sound doesn't play right out of the box. And so we can see then we've got a little custom JavaScript that is also part of the Cloudflare code. So if we grab look at the embed code here, you'll notice that that is the embed code right here. So we get, hey, controls are turned on. You can actually turn those off. So this is exactly how this is embedded. No controls, autoplay, mute, and then you get the little JavaScript code down below. This embeds their JavaScript player for that video. So that's all you're basically going to grab this code from Cloudflare, and then you're going to go in and insert a custom HTML element, and you're going to paste that code in here. And that's how you get the code for the player installed. And if you wanted nothing more than that, just to get that in there and let autoplay muted, you could certainly do that, and then it would show up. But we want that to be a little bit better, right? We want to actually have the kind of fancy click to turn on the sound on the play button and let it play and restart at the beginning and all that fun stuff. So that's where the real fun comes in. That's the marketer stuff that we want to be able to do. We want to actually grab people's attention. So what we've done here in this scenario is actually got some custom code going as well. And bear with me because it's been a little bit since I've set this up, but we're going to go in and grab this code. And I'm going to go in. It's all in the footer code. I'm going to actually just grab all of this code out at one shot, and I'm actually going to go and pull it up in my code editor. And I'm going to pull up the important sections for you here. So let's get this going here. Okay, great. There we go. Okay, so now we've got our custom code pulled up. So this is where it might get a little hairy for people, but it's okay. Just bear with me. Just stick with me. We're just going to walk through and do a lesson. This actually hasn't been shared anywhere yet. But once it's ready, which I'll probably try and do this weekend actually for this video piece, it will go into both the FunnelU and the CF Pro Tools VIP Club members areas so that you can use these on your pages if you want to. I also have a version of this for Vimeo, which will allow for some of the same features, which is to be able to unmute the video when somebody clicks on a button, and to also restart the video at the beginning when somebody clicks play on the video or clicks on one of the buttons to unmute, which is the features that we'll see here. So I'm going to show you how I do it with Cloudflare, and then also so that we can show how to get the big play button and the turn on sound. These things definitely help with getting people to understand what it is they need to do. Excuse me. So we've got a couple things here. So we've got, basically we have this, the video wrapper ID. So we've got this set as CF Stream Video. If we look in the browser, look in the editor, you'll notice that this element here, right here, if we click the gear icon and click the little hashtag icon, we'll notice that this title is CF-Stream-Video. So that is what we've got going on here. So we have to tell the code that, hey, this is the video on the page that I want all this stuff to happen on. And then we say, hey, what sound image do we want to use, which is our, hey, this button up here that says click to turn on sound. That's what that references. So you could change these things out if you wanted to. You could have your own button. This was just one that that I created quickly in Acorn, which is kind of like a Photoshop for Mac. I created that quickly. Jake Leslie on our team at ClickFunnels has made some phenomenal ones of these. I know it takes him like 2 seconds to build them, and they just look phenomenal. So you never know. He might throw out a pack of those that people can use different colors and whatnot, but that's another option. So you can create these on your own. You can use this one here. It's embedded in the ClickFunnels gallery, so you could certainly use the link that I've already got embedded in the code. And then the same with the big play button. If we look here, then this play button image is configurable. So you can say, hey, here's the link for my big play button. And so that is this big play button right here. Again, just that is simply a font awesome icon that I turned into a PNG file, and it's just overlaying that there. And then the rest of the stuff you don't really have to touch. This is specifically for Cloudflare. So it says, hey, create this, basically this code, it creates a big overlay over this entire video. So if you click anywhere on this video, there's actually an invisible layer on top of that that includes this button and this play button. And if you click anywhere on the video, then it is going to go through and say, hey, go ahead and fire off and remove that overlay. But then down below it says, hey, if anybody clicks on any of these things and they have these actions, then unmute the video, restart the video, and then it also checks for a mobile. So we want to do, we need to do a little bit more work for mobile. And so there's a little chunk along here that says, hey, is this mobile? If we can create a touch event, we know we're on a mobile device. And so we add that little check there. And then so we do some checking on mobile. And then this, hey, if it's mobile, then look for do a touch start or on touch start for the video, then do this action. And otherwise it's a desktop, and the click event is what we're looking for. The mobile devices don't have, the click and the touch start both fire at the same time, causes some issues. So that's the magic work there. And then we've got a bunch of custom CSS. And again, this is where you can actually go in and configure the play button. Where is that at? What do you want to use for your background image? You could change sizes if you wanted to, and a few other things. And then our video sound button. And then you might notice there's a little bit of a pulse here on this. You'll notice that it kind of scales in and out. I'm not sure how well that translates onto the screen through the webinar here. But this does a little pulse, again, just a little visual effect to catch people's attention. And so we're setting up that here. We've got some keyframes. That's for our animation that makes that pulse in and out. And then we just kind of position those things, and we set where we want the play button to be. And we actually, in this case, give the box shadow effect. We give this, hey, we want to give it a black border. And you'll notice there's a little shadow behind. Your custom HTML elements don't generally have that, but makes for a nice little video wrapper. So we've got a little custom video wrapper element there for that. And then, we do what's called a media query here. And that tells us, hey, that for for only for screens that are up to 770 pixels, then I want to make sure and set a display block for the iframe blocker. Otherwise, ClickFunnels by default does not display that element, and we're kind of using that to allow for us to click on that. So we're just kind of making some override stuff there, and then we take a look. If we go back in here and take a look, I think, let's take a look here. Yeah, CF Stream Video, and that should cover everything we have. So that kind of runs through, and this also has, we've got some other features in here, and I'll do a whole video explaining how to use this one, as well as the Vimeo version of this. I've also got some code for YouTube that we can throw out there. The problem with YouTube is that it's always going to show related videos now. At the end of any video that you share, it's going to show related videos. In fact, I can probably show you an example of that if we just log into the CF Pro Tools members area. Because I use YouTube for the video hosting in there. So we'll get logged into that. So if I log into my CF Pro Tools account here and go in and look at one of these videos, then we'll kind of see what YouTube is doing for all videos that are embedded now. So if you have an embedded video, then this is what you're going to see. So if we go in and look at one of these videos, it's going to show up like this. One, it shows up always this header at the top. With the watch later and the share link, which is not cool. So these things, you don't want to see this stuff on your videos. If somebody lands on a marketing page, you don't want to show them this stuff. They don't want to necessarily see the title of the video, and they don't want to watch later for sure. And you don't want a share link right there on the page. And then the other thing is, if you click to play this and then pause it, now you'll see these more videos. So what this does is they at least tried to be nice in this, and they actually are sharing videos from the same channel as the video that's being embedded. So if you have a bunch of other videos, then you're going to see those here. But you don't want these other videos to show on top of this. If this is your sales page, you certainly don't want to give the user any other videos to watch in place of the one that is selling your product. And what's even worse is if you click on these videos, they actually open a new tab and go to YouTube. And that is the worst thing that you want, because that means you're leaking all that traffic. It's now going away from your sales page on your embedded video, and they're taking them away and taking them to YouTube. And YouTube is pretty much, the valley of lost souls. It's like the, what's it called? The old Christmas cartoon, or the animated Christmas special. It's the island of misfit children. You go there and you get lost forever. It's, people just, once they're in YouTube, it's like, oh, hey, squirrel. There's all this other stuff to watch and go do, and they're never gonna come back and buy. So you definitely don't want to be using YouTube on your sales pages. So if you have that going today, definitely look at an alternative solution. Go to Wistia, go to Vimeo, go to Cloudflare Stream, where you have more control over what is displayed here. There's a reason that Wistia and Vimeo are charging for the hosting there, because they don't do crap like this. YouTube doesn't charge for the hosting, but that means they get to control how they make money, and they make money by advertising and getting people onto the YouTube platform and showing their ads. So when you get over here and go to YouTube and watch this video, then guess what? You'll see ads and all these other videos. These are all the ways that YouTube makes money, is by showing these things to more people. And so when you're not paying them for that, that's what they do. They have the power to do these things. Eventually, I would not be surprised to see YouTube come out with a paid hosting option. They've obviously moved to things like YouTube Red, where you can actually pay to remove ads if you're a consumer. I would not be surprised to see them come out with a paid hosting platform that says, hey, if you don't want to show ads on your video, if you want to be able to control the embedding, if you want to be able to control the branding a little bit more, then just pay us and we'll host your videos for you. You can use our player, but then we won't show the ads, and we'll give you a few more options that they used to have, but they've just taken away because they want to make more money. So that's kind of my rant on video. And we're like 38 minutes into this thing, and we've only covered video. So we got a lot to go through. If somebody would give me a shout in the comments, let me know, has this been useful so far? Again, my goal in this is to make this as valuable as possible. Both today and long term. So if you would give me a shout, let me know if this is all making sense. We all looking good tech-wise. Like I said, if I can keep people involved and getting feedback here, then we'll keep going. Awesome. Thanks. Jackson says, yes, thank you. This is that's good. That's what I'm saying. I want to make sure that this is valuable. I don't want to waste anybody's time. That's for sure. So this is one of the keys of things that we have been doing recently. Is moving over to the Wistia platform. I kind of showed you the Wistia options. Or personally with CFO Tools, we've been using Cloudflare Stream. It's been working very well. It removes all the ads and all the other stuff. You have a lot more control, and you can do the cool things like autoplay muted and restart back at the beginning, which is kind of a cool feature. So figure out a way to do that. And I'll actually be releasing some code into the members area in CFO Tools, as well as in FunnelU if you're in there, on how to do exactly these things, as well as full instructional videos on how to do that. And then also have versions to do those same things with Wistia, which they kind of do it out of the box, but and then Vimeo, and then YouTube if you want to do that, but they kind of ruin the game, so not a whole lot of point there. So let's see what's next. What we're going to go through next is it's actually some of the cool stuff that happened on the 10x Secrets launch. So I'm actually going to close out. I'm going to close out this window here. I'm going to go ahead and leave this, and we'll go ahead and close this one out. And we've got some code here. I'm going to drag this back over, probably back on a blank screen now, or my beautiful mountain desktop, which actually right now is, well, unfortunately, it's a little cloudy here in Idaho today, so we can't even see the mountains, even though they're not that far off. But this is a little bit what they look like. They're a little covered with snow. It's honestly very beautiful. So hopefully you're somewhere today where you either have some warmth and can enjoy it, or you've got a nice snowy mountain view if you've got snow on the ground. So let's see. I'm going to open up a new, get back into Chrome here. I'm going to open up. I'm going to open up a couple of different accounts here so we can kind of show some cool things. And we're going to walk through the order form. This was the big one that I want to walk through. And bear with me as I open up right accounts. Too many accounts here. Gotta log into the right ones. So let me get logged in here. Here we go. There we go. Awesome. All right, how's everybody doing on this Saturday as we go through? I am watching the chat, by the way, as everybody, as you guys are on. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. So, where's everybody coming in from today? Let's see. Let's give a shout out. Where's everybody hailing from this afternoon? It's about 4:45 East Mountain Time. So, how about everybody else? Where are we at today? Let me know in the chat as I get things set up here. Rexburg. Jackson says from Rexburg. Rexburg, where at is Rexburg? Rexburg, Idaho. Awesome. Okay, that's what I was thinking, but you never know. There's lots of, there's probably Rexburgs all over the country. It's kind of like Greentown. There's probably 100,000 Greentowns in the United States. Greensburg, Greensboro. So awesome. So hopefully you've got a nice snowy mountain view right now as well. And so let's see here. Sorry, I know you guys aren't seeing this on my screen, but I am logging in and getting things set up so that we can kind of walk through some things and have them make a little bit more sense. And of course, as things are usual, as you're trying to do them live, it takes a little bit longer than normal. Okay, cool. Rexburg near Idaho Falls. Yeah, I'm still learning the kind of the geography here in in Idaho. still fairly new. So getting settled, but that's good. I moved out and moved out to the Boise area in August, this past August. So. Who else is out there paying attention? Jorge, Angela, we got McCarl. I'm not sure if hopefully, I'm probably butchering that name. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but glad to see you. We've got Ryan on. So we've got a handful of people hanging out, which is cool. Bear with me. I just got to get one funnel in particular up that I want to show you that is actually still up and live. 10x Secrets funnel, as you know, is no longer available. We kind of closed the doors on that one. So I'm going to pull up one where we can actually show you what we're looking for. And that is the one of the things that a lot of people noticed on the 10x Secrets that was a little bit different than normal is the what we call the accordion order form, or a 3-step order form. So we, obviously I may be familiar with ClickFunnels and the 1-step order form, which is basically all your order form fields on one page. And then you've actually got our 2-step order form, which is super cool. And it actually, is one page, but you get the effect of, fill in, give me your name, email, and your shipping address, and then click next step. And then it goes to, okay, now pick your product and then give me your credit card information. So that is our 2-step order form. The big benefit of the 2-step order form is it actually collects the name and email address and the shipping address on the first step. And when you click go to step 2, it actually submits behind the scenes. A lot of people don't recognize this or don't realize this, that it actually submits that data directly back to ClickFunnels while they're on that same page. So when they click go to next step, you actually get that and you can capture that name and email address. So if they don't complete their order, you can actually do a follow-up sequence for abandoned carts. So you can say, hey, they saw the page, they left their data, but they didn't purchase. So you can send them a follow-up email, and after an hour or so, send them a follow-up email that says, hey, did you forget your book? Or whatever. And so that's the cool thing about the 2-step order form. What we did with the 3-step is it looks more like a traditional 1-step order form, which it's all on one page, just kind of stacked on top of each other, but it has the functionality of, hey, give us your name and email address, and then click next step, and then give us your credit card information, and then click next step, and then the order bump information. And we still get that benefit of when we click next step on step 1, it actually submits that name and email address to the back end, so you can do a follow-up sequence. And so let me grab an example of that here real quick. And I just want to grab a good URL where we can kind of show that. And so this is a funnel that was launched not too long ago. That's done fairly well, that uses a similar example of this, and that is on the Lady Boss funnel. And so if you go to the Lady Boss funnel, it's actually, well, doggone it, they've already closed this one out too. So let's just build one of these out. So I apologize, that one I didn't realize that they had closed down that offer. So I think they just did that recently, but you can see that this actually, they are doing the same thing with their Wistia. So you can see this is a Wistia video, click for sound, it lets it play. The beautiful thing about this is that they actually have some great attention grabbing, as well as you get to see this, but you also get to see lots of text on the page as it goes through. So super attainable. So people are paying attention to this stuff. So closed caption would probably be even better, but this is a good example of that. So, and this is a beautiful page. And so it's just a good example of a good page all around. So let's just go ahead and jump into, I'm going to go ahead and close out these, and I'm going to get back into my ClickFunnels account, and we're going to go ahead and build out one of these pages. And I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like as we go. And I'm going to show you the exact code that we use to build this out. And so bear with me, we're going to go through and we're just going to build a funnel live. So hopefully that works. It's not what I was intending to do for this one, but hey, you know what? Sometimes you gotta make adjustments, right? Adapt and overcome. And if you're not read it already, I've got a book, Nick Transtrom right here, Adapt and Overcome. Great guy, and also a funnel hacker. a United States Army veteran. So I love him for that and for his service. Blackhawk pilot, great guy. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to drag this over. Let's just drag this. So, and we are going to build out a new funnel. So let's just go ahead and add a new funnel. So bear with me. Definitely let me know if you have any questions along the way here. Tom says, hey, let me just read through this real quick. Yeah, Tom is asking what's a good code editor to use when working with CF Pro Tools and with ClickFunnels. I would recommend, and it looks like for Mac and or one for Windows. I would recommend, there's an editor called, I believe, Sublime Text Editor, and that works on both Mac and Windows. So if you're looking for one that's kind of cross-platform, that's a good option there. I personally use, the code editor that I use on a Mac is called Atom, A-T-O-M, and that is this code editor right here. Does all your code highlighting and does a ton of stuff. It's very easy to use in my opinion. You can actually set up projects so you can see these are all the different codes I have for CF Pro Tools. I've got a huge library there, and it kind of lets you organize by projects. So kind of help you to keep track of your files that way. Also integrates with a ton of other things. Git, if you're using a GitHub repository, something like that, you can push your code up that way. If you're just looking for just a plain, good text editor to use, it's still a good option. You don't have to use all the other features. So that's what I really like about it. It's pretty configurable if you are a hardcore developer, but if you're just looking for a good text editor that's not going to jumble up your code, then Atom is good, and it's free. And it is created by the developers at GitHub, which is one of the largest platforms on the planet and just recently got purchased by Microsoft. And so, it is going to be well funded and well taken care of for quite some time. So I would definitely recommend something like that. Sublime Text Editor or Atom are both good choices there. And so that answers that question, hopefully. And then, so let's go ahead and bounce in and create this funnel out. So what we're going to do here is create a 3-step order form, similar to what you saw on the 10x Secrets launch. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to build a sales funnel. We're going to do a sell your product, and we're going to do a sales funnel. And we're just going to do 3-step. Let's just do this 3-step demo. So we're going to go ahead and set this up. We're going to build this out. And please give me a shout in the chat if you have any questions along the way. I appreciate everybody hanging out with me here today. And, definitely want to make this worth your while. Don't want to waste anybody's time. So if you've got questions, I would love to answer them. So I'm just going to do some cleanup here. And just if you've not been through one of these before, this is I have a standard way that I always set up my, especially sales funnels, which is the majority of what we do, right? We're trying to sell stuff. So I have a way of setting these up so that we kind of minimize distractions later. So I generally, you could build a sales page if you could leave the sales page in. Generally on my sales funnels, there may not be an opt-in page. So I delete the opt-in page right away. And we're not going to have an opt-in page. We want to just build out an order form on this one. Sales page, you could have a sales page that goes to an order form, but in a lot of scenarios, you're going to want to build your order form onto your sales page. It's going to be an all-in-one, and that's a lot of times what we do. So you might have seen that at the 10x Secrets. The sales page was the order form. The order form was directly embedded into the sales page. So it was a long-form sales page as far as copy goes. There was video, there was content, there was images. It was a very, very long-form sales page. But the order form was embedded on that page. So that means you want to start with an order form for that. So don't get distracted by that. I've seen too many people fall into the trap of thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna build a sales page. And then they build out and they spend all their time, they build out this long form sales page and they're like, okay, now I wanna embed my order form. And not realize that you can't put order form elements onto a sales page type. So start with an order form, even if you're gonna have sales copy on that page. You gotta use an order form page type in order to embed order form elements on it. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of our sales page here because we're going to be using the order form page type to get started. The next thing that I always do is I always set up the thank you page first. And I'm not actually going to put any content in. Rarely do I ever use an actual thank you page because these are just used for product delivery. The problem is when you create your products that you're selling, a thank you page will get created automatically unless you say, use this thank you page. And what happens is if you have 10 or 15 products or 5 products or whatever inside of your funnel, you're going to have these 5 extra pages hanging around that are waiting for you to do something with them. They're going to be 5 automatically created thank you pages that never do anything, but you'll get warnings on your page saying, hey, you've not set up all the steps of your funnel and all kinds of other stuff if you don't do it in the right sequence. So start with this. Just go into your thank you page, scroll down, or you can even use the little search at the top. There's one called blank, and just type in blank, and it's going to give you a blank thank you page. Just pick that one. That's what I always do. Just gives me a blank thank you page. And then what I can do later is when I'm creating my products, I can say, use this thank you page instead of creating a new one. And then I always like to do the order confirmation page. Although if you want to match your branding, you may decide to do your sales page first and then your order confirmation. But you can just pick a basic order confirmation page here. I just like to have it set up in advance so it's quick and easy to test. So you can really pick any of these. We've got some good looking ones in there. Let's just pick this option right here. And so now we've got a little confirmation page. So now we're back to the meat. So I always start mine from bottom up. I build my funnels bottom up. I always have, always will. Well, I shouldn't say always will. I may decide to do it differently to somewhere down the road, but that's the way I do it now. It makes it easier for product setup. And so now we're in the order form. And in this scenario, we're doing it, we want to do a 3-step, right? So it's kind of like a 1-step order form page. So this one's really built for a 2-step. We don't want to start that. This is a 2, actually, yeah, I think this is a 2-step order form page as well. Yeah, it looks like it from the screenshot. But this one is a 1-step, but we really kind of want one where we've got, we've got this video at the top, sales copy, kind of long form sales copy, and then, yeah, maybe a little bit more like this. So let's just pick this one. And then we'll build our page out down below it. So what we're gonna have is we're gonna have a section that is, hey, give us your contact information, give us your credit card information, and then we're gonna offer them an order bump. And so let's just take a look at this page real quickly, just to kind of see what we're working with. So I'm gonna pull this up in the editor, and then we're gonna actually jump back out and go through and step through a little bit more of the process. So yeah, this one's very basic. And this one actually looks like this one's actually a hide show. So it's probably got a hidden section on the page. Let's actually preview this and see what this order form even looks like, because I'm probably just gonna totally make this work differently. So click here to register. Okay, yeah, and it just expands this section out down below. So yeah, so that's okay. We're gonna start with this one. So we've already got it picked. We'll just probably tweak and get rid of, we'll replace everything in here. So, but the key is this. What I see people make the most, the mistake I see people make the most often with ClickFunnels is they come in and they want to start with like, they start with what I want it to look like. And then they start building out pages. And then when they get to the end, they're like, okay, now how do I make it work? How do I connect everything? How do I get all the stuff going? And they don't really have a plan. So what we need to do is kind of map out and plan what we want to have. And that involves starting from thinking, okay, what is it I'm selling? Start from there. What's the offer? What is it I'm selling? And that's going to result in products. So I always recommend setting up your products first and deciding what it is I'm selling, how much am I selling for, what payment gateway am I going to use, what emails do I want to go out, what list do I want to add them to, what kind of automations do I want to type in. Think about all that stuff first, plan that stuff out and get that started. And then it's kind of like you don't make a cake by whipping up the frosting. That's not how you make a cake. You don't start with making up the frosting. You start with, okay, I'm gonna, what kind of cake do I want? Vanilla. Okay, so I'm gonna make the vanilla cake batter and I'm gonna bake a cake. You start from the bottom layer up and then the frosting goes on the top. So the sales page, the look and the feel, the how you build, the everything you have on the page, the sales copy, all that, that's the icing on the cake. You're gonna build that foundation first. And then you layer on everything else after that. But if you try and you can't build a cake from the inside out or from the outside in, I guess, you can't. So you can't start with, okay, well, I'm going to, scaffold up this way to put icing on and then shove a cake up underneath of it. No, you got to start with the foundation first, and then you layer on the icing from there. So we're going to start with building on our products. That's a long way to say start with the products. Okay, so we're going to go in. We're selling something here. We have an offer. We have a core offer. We're just not going to go into anything super fancy on this one with multiple products and all that fun stuff. We just got one core product, which is, in this scenario, it was the 10x Secrets package. It was one product. We got 10x Secrets, and then there was a bump. And so let's go ahead and create a couple of products here. We want to create a product for our core offer, and then we want to create a product for our bump offer. And so we're just going to call this core offer 1, and I'm going to set up Stripe so we can do test mode on it. And we're going to say this was a $297 product, and we're good to go there. It's a one-time Stripe product. Fulfillment email, I always do this on my fulfillment emails. I don't fulfill them from here. You certainly can, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. And then the other thing is now, since we created a thank you page, since we applied a template to our thank you page to start with, then our first funnel and page listed here for our thank you page should be that blank thank you page we just created. That means we don't have to create another one. Otherwise, one is automatically created. Create a new thank you page is what's set by default. So that means even though we have thank you page over here, if we don't do this, if we don't select this thank you page, then we'll end up with another thank you page and another thank you page and another thank you page for every product that you create. We don't want that. So make sure that you go in here and pick the thank you page that you already have. That way you don't end up with a bunch of empty pages. And so, you know, that don't even have templates applied that aren't complete, that aren't actually pages yet, because you'll get warnings saying your funnel is not complete and it's confusing. So just make sure you pick your thank you page. And then for email integrations, these are the other things that I like to think through. Okay, when somebody buys this product, what is going to happen? So what I would recommend is that you do one of a couple things here, which is, hey, I want to, with Actionetics, I want to add them to a list, and then you select which list you want them to go on, or you add a tag. And then you say, hey, what tag do you want to add them to? I want to add the, you know, the CF demo buyer tag. And you put a tag in there. That way you can identify that, hey, something happened, they bought this product. Generally, you're going to want to add them to a list. And then what you do is with Actionetics, you set up a follow-up funnel that's attached to that list that says, does the product delivery, that says, okay, awesome, you bought the 10x Secrets product. Awesome, you bought CF Pro Tools. Awesome, you bought my awesome product number 1. Whatever. Here's the email on how to claim that thing. Here's the email on, or here's how to get access to that content. And so you can do that right here in the email integration tab. And so, you know, generally it's going to be, I would recommend going to add to list, because when you add them to a list, you can attach a follow-up funnel, an action funnel to that list that says when somebody gets added to this list, then take these actions. And then from those actions, you can actually have it, add the tags and do all the other stuff that you want to do. So that's what I would recommend there. We're not going to worry about that right now, because we're not going to set all that stuff up. But we'll do that. And then we'll go on to the shipping. If you had shipping, you know, ShipStation, this Kanaki just delivered, whatever, you can set that up here. The other thing that I always do with these is I always uncheck when I'm just testing, when I'm just setting up, I uncheck the affiliate commissions. I don't want to, I'm not going to offer affiliate commission on this, so I'm going to uncheck it. Otherwise, by default, every product you create is by default checked to make it commissionable. I always like to disable that and then go back afterwards when I've set up my members or my affiliate logins and done all the other affiliate stuff, then go back and say, I want this product to be commissionable and I'm going to use this plan. So make sure it's a planned rollout, not just a, hey, it's just the default. Oh, and I forgot to turn that off, because that's the worst thing you can have. So I always turn this off out of the box. Every time I set up a new product, I turn that off and then I go back and turn it on selectively. So we've got our product set up there. I'm gonna go ahead and click create product. And my little spinner is gonna go up here because because there's a little bit of a bug debug. So I'm gonna go and refresh this page just to get rid of that. Is this making sense so far? Hopefully this is making sense. I'm going to turn off a couple things here because you guys are probably going, what the heck, where'd this duplicate and copy to come from? And what's with this ID? I have a couple of extensions that I've got created here, or that I've got added here that are adding those things. So I don't want to confuse anybody with that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off those extensions. I've got a CF Pro Tools extension I've been building, and then I've got this, the helper turned on. So let me get rid of those. And now let's refresh this page again. And it'll be more like what you see. So I don't want to confuse anybody with extra options that aren't part of the core ClickFunnels here. So Jackson says, "Yep, thank you. Yeah, definitely. This is making sense to everybody. Please give me a shout out in the chat just so I can make sure that I'm not losing anybody. That there's no questions. Feel free to throw them in there." Jackson says, "Done using ActionNet. Is this still good to know?" That's good. Good. Glad to hear it. Yeah, ActionNet's got a ton of power, you know, but if you're using an external service like an autoresponder or Active Campaign or something like that, that's what you want to do. You still want to be able to add them to that, add them to a list, and basically move them through so you can categorize, okay, where are my buyers at, so that I can communicate with those buyers and so I can keep track of where they're at in my sequences. ActionNetics kind of has it all built in one place. I really love it for that. But if you're using another service, you want to do kind of the same thing, which is, hey, I want to add them to, and you can do that in the automation for that product as well, email integration. Hey, I want to add them to MailChimp. I want to add them to Active Campaign. I want to add them to this sequencer. I want to add a tag in Active Campaign, whatever. You have a ton of things that you can do with that email integration directly in the product. We also have options in the automation when they do a purchase to do something as well. So we got our core product made, and let's go ahead and create our bump product now. And we're just going to call this one bump product 1. Sorry, I moved my keyboard here. Now it's at a bad angle. Bump product 1. Okay, awesome. And then we're going to set this one to stripes as well. And we're going to say this was a $47 bump. And it's a one-time. Again, go through, just get rid of my subject line, and I get rid of my body. So that I don't send out an email when somebody purchases this product through this product purchase, through the fulfillment email. I'm going to send out an email, but I want to do it differently. And then again, you can look at your email integration. You can pick and say, hey, I want to add them to MailChimp. I want to add them to Aweber. I want to add them, you know, to whatever. Pick that and set it up however you want to. Just make sure you do something with them. It could be on this product. I'll show you again here in a second how we might set it up on when they purchase the product. So maybe you don't want to do it on each product. You want to just do it whenever they make a purchase on a particular page. I'll show you that as well. There's a couple options to go through there. And then I'm going to turn off affiliates. And we're going to go ahead and create that product. So now we've got our core product and our bump product. So we know this is what we're selling on this page. So now we're ready to go in and get started on the page. So we're going to go ahead and bounce back over to overview. And actually, we could probably go through and even set up and look at our automation tab. So this is where, instead of doing what we just did on a product level, we could set up and say, okay, here's the couple of things that we want to do. Again, the foundational things, the plumbing of things, before we get the actual icing added to this cake. We want to make sure it's plumbed properly. So we want to say, hey, well, when somebody purchases, I want to do something. So I want to add, you know, you can create a new email, you can create a new action, you can send out an SMS text message if you wanted to from this automation tab. Again, you know, kind of ActionNetics based stuff, but you can also integrate with other services. But here would be one action that I would recommend. It'd be, hey, they purchased. So I want to add a new action on the purchase, and I want to, you know, say add buyer tag, and for the condition for those that purchased from this page, and I want to add them to the list, or I want to add a tag, and then you set your tag, and you could even set with which list here. So, you know, you could say the 10x secrets buyers, and then, you know, awesome tag. There you go. And then you could say, do I want to set a delay? Generally, you're not going to do that when they buy. This would be more for like a webinar registration or something like that, or sending out a sequence of emails. But we're going to add this tag. You're generally going to do that right away. And so then you've got that action. So now they're going to add the buyer tag, and it's going to fire immediately when they purchase. The other thing you could do is for those that didn't purchase, this is where you could add them to, you could actually set them and add them to a buyer's or a non-buyer's sequence, or you could send out a sequence of emails. Say, a lot of times it's easier to do right in here in the funnel for things like this, where I'm going to say, I want to just send them out a series of 3 emails. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new email, and I'm going to set up here, and I'm going to put in, you know, all this stuff, and I'm going to say they're going to get it for when they saw the page but they didn't purchase. You could say active only in the so many days. Put your subject and then pick your email template and all that. So let's just use this template, and we're going to say from Jim Smith, and we're going to say, did you get something? And create email. And now we've got an email set out to that's set to go immediately, but it's actually immediately is a little bit yeah. So what we want to do here, actually, let's go and edit this. I would say I probably want to fire this off. This one, you know, we want to give it a delay here, so we want to say maybe an hour. Let's say 0.5 hours, so half an hour. Give them half an hour. Half an hour afterwards, hey, did you forget something? So it's half an hour after they saw the page and didn't purchase, which actually takes a little bit to fire. I don't remember exactly how long it takes to fire, but it gives a delay basically to look for this event, because we want when they saw a page, that's when they actually gave us their name and email address. So we can't fire the right away, saw a page but didn't purchase, because we don't know they didn't purchase until after a period of time. So we give them, you know, a period of, you know, a time to actually go through the funnel, and ClickFunnels takes care of all that stuff. I'm not sure what the delay is on that, but we want to say, you know, let's give it half an hour. So if, you know, at a minimum, half an hour after they landed on the page and gave us their email address and didn't buy, then send them this email. So I'd recommend setting that up, and then say, okay, awesome. So we send them this email out, you know, and then from there you can go in and edit the content of your email, so that it says, you know, hey, I noticed you're landing on the page, you were interested. If you're still interested, make sure and go back and complete your order. Here's a link. Send them back to the sales page. And then, you know, you might want to set up 2 or 3 more of these emails. So, you know, set up another email and have it, you know, again, saw a page but didn't purchase. Well, it's just, but on this one, say maybe you want to say, you know, set it 1 day. So it's not going to create that until I go in everything else here. And so holding it for you. Here's just a quick little tip that I like to use when I'm crafting email subject lines. And I will not say that I'm a wizard at this by any stretch, but it does work pretty well for me. Is make things purposely vague. Leave questions for everything. So we're still holding it for you. A lot of people look at holding it. What's it? I don't remember what it is, and that gives them the curiosity. So you always want to incorporate as much curiosity as you can into your email subject lines, especially in scenarios like this, where this is not a customer that knows who you are from name. This is brand new. They saw something, but they didn't purchase it yet. So they aren't necessarily super active on your list. So they might be either a non-customer or somebody that's relatively new to your environment. So leave some curiosity in there, because otherwise, you know, if you could say, hey, you know, they recognize your name, James Smith. Okay, awesome. Oh yeah, I totally forgot that CF Pro Tools thing. Or I totally forgot, you know, it's, hey, it's Russell Brunson. Okay, they want to open it just because it's Russell. I got an email from Russell. I need to check that out. This one, they don't know who you are yet. So just leave a little curiosity in that, hey, we're still holding it for you. It what? What are they holding for me? I don't remember what it was. Or I have to answer this question. What is it? So they'll be more likely to click that email and open it. So I'd recommend leaving something like that. And then we'll go through that. And then again, we just pick an email template. We'll just pick this one down here, and then create our email. And now we've got one that's going to fire half an hour after, and a day after, and then maybe 2 days after, that just says, hey, you know, last chance to grab the thing. Last chance to grab it. And same thing, you know, hey, you stopped by a couple days ago. We're still kind of reserving your copy of 10X Secrets. or of CA Pro Tools, and but there's other people that are interested in this, so we need to kind of let it back out there. So if you're still interested, make sure and click the link and go through and complete your order. If not, we'll go ahead and release this back to the other customers that are looking for it within the next 24 hours. That gives them a little urgency and scarcity. Hey, there are other people that want this thing. If you're not going to purchase it, then no problem. We're just going to put it back in the inventory. But if you want it, you better go grab it now, because if not, it's gone. That's kind of a way to put that. And then that's the last email you'll send them about the salt page that didn't purchase. So yeah, I'd set up a couple, 2 or 3 of those emails, and then you got your purchase one. The everyone is a little bit of a misnomer. Hopefully you recognize this by now, but everyone, obviously you can't send them an email. You can't take an action on them if we don't know who they are. So everyone is not every person that lands on this page. It's every identified person that lands on this page. Will get these events, and that is somebody that's actually given you an email address. A contact has been created with this person. Then we can take an action on a contact. But so that one's always a little bit confusing. Is the everyone should be more like known contacts when they land on the page, then take these actions. But really don't necessarily need to set up an everyone action for these order form type funnels. So you have the options to set up your purchase events either on the product when they purchase a product, if you want to take specific actions on each individual product, or in this scenario, the purchase happens regardless of whether they buy the core offer or the core offer and the bump. They're gonna get that add buyer tag. If you had different product choices, like say it's a subscription, you've got a one-time pay, or you've got 3 payment plan, or you've got a monthly payment plan, or whatever, you have different levels. You could just take one action and add a buyer's tag to them on the purchase event for the order form itself. You don't have to do it on each individual product because this is going to take effect no matter what they bought. As long as they bought something on this page, they're going to get this action to take place. So that's a little bit of our plumbing here. And now let's get into the actual sales page itself. Now we're ready to actually go through and set up our actual order form. So we've got this page opened up inside of our editor already. So we've got got a video up at the top. That's awesome. That's great. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll just kind of keep this stuff. We're not going to mess with the top piece, but I do want to go ahead and get rid of this button here, because this opens up a whole new section. Let's go ahead and go up. Looks like we probably have a hidden section here. So we've got a couple of them. And so let's go ahead and, so we've got a section here. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. Okay, get rid of that. And then what was our other section? Oh, we've got, yeah, get rid of that one. Okay, great. So now we've got just a basic, we've got our video at the top, and we've got a section where we can put all of our sales content. Perfect. And so now let's go in, let's just, let's add a couple elements in here. So we've got, let's go ahead and add a paragraph. And so we've got a paragraph. We're going to do a left align this, copy this. Paste that in there, so we've got a little bit of a sales copy. And then let's get rid of this chunk. I don't like this here. And then let's get rid of this. So let's imagine this is our this is all of our sales copy, and then below this we want to have an order form. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually going to create a new section down below this. So I like to put order forms into their own section. The reason is that it's really easy then if you have a button up top, like if you wanted to put a button just below your video here, that you might have a call to action in the video that says something like, hey, if you're ready to get started now, click the button down below. Well, if you've got your order form scattered in the middle of another row, it might be really hard to send them to that particular place in the page to complete the order. So if you put it in a new section, it's super easy to do that. So we're going to go ahead and create a button here, because we want to do that. We want to put a button just below the video that, hey, they may not need to read the rest of the sales copy. They may be sold by the video itself. So let's go ahead and put that button in there. And that one looks like, necessarily, I don't know why that's italic. I don't like that. Oh, it's probably built into the custom CSS. And so, but let's just make this bigger. Let's make our font size here. We're gonna make this great big. We're gonna make that 40. And subtext size, No subtext, but I like to bump that up a little bit. And then let's say I want this to be fill width. There we go. I like something like this, an action statement, get immediate access. Or something might be cool, might be something like unlock immediate access, and then we could do something like a little icon. So if we go down and look at our icon here, we've got our icon after. You could do icon before, icon after. Usually could be something like a shopping cart. Could do a search for cart here. Cart, there we go. So I want to do that cart. There we go. Unlock immediate access. Cool. There we go. And so now let's go ahead and add a new section. So we're going to do that by going up to sections and add section. And then I'm just going to do a full width section because I want it to I want it to be white and I want it to bleed out all the way out to the pages here. And okay, I don't like that. It's not, something didn't happen quite right because it didn't give me my little drops. Add section, full width. Okay, I think this template might have a little goofiness going on with it because it's not giving me my little drop zones. Okay, well, let's go back and do it the other way. All right, now I can see my mouse. Okay, so another way to add a section. So if we go in here and click the plus on the section, and now let's click full width. And now we have a new section here. And I want to go to this section and I want to give it a background color. I want this one to be white. And it's going to be full white. So there is our new section. Okay, and it matches pretty much what's up here. And so I'm going to go ahead and add a new row. And I want it to be a one column row. And I want to, I don't think I clicked that just quite right. There we go. Now it's building the row. And then now we want to put in our 3-step order form. So what we want to do is actually add into this. So what this is going to look like, it's going to have a kind of a headline up at the top that's colored background and says step 1. And then a chunk, which is our email form, our form for name and email address. And then another row that's got a background color and step 2. And then below that is going to be our credit card form. And it could have your could have a contact address if you wanted to, or shipping address if you wanted to. And then the next, then below that, we're gonna have another row that has got a background color, and it's gonna say step 3. And then inside of that, below that is going to be our bump offer and a big old buy button. So that's what we're gonna build out. So we want to add to this, we want to add a new headline element, and we want to left align our headline. Sorry, gotta click on without moving too much. There we go. And we're going to set this one to the left. And we're going to say step 1. And now I want to give this this row here a little bit of I want to give it a background color. I'm making it stand out, and I want to even give it a little. So we're going to give it a background color. Let's just give it this green color, and then let's actually make this 5 pixel rounded. Yep, that looks good. And then let's make our text white. I know a lot of this, you might not care too much about this. The other thing I like to do, and this is just me personally, when I do white text on a dark background, like this green, I like to give the text a little bit of a shadow. Just makes it pop a little bit. So if you go in and then do, I want shadow, I want, oh, not, this is, I want text shadow. And then I want to do strong shadow. Yeah, it makes it just pop a little bit. You might do subtle shadow. Don't need a whole lot. Subtle shadow just, to me, makes it look a little blurry versus being strong. There, I think the mid shadow on that one is perfect. So now we can just see that white text just pops off that green background just a little bit. So we can actually go ahead and duplicate this one. I'm actually going to duplicate this one 3 times because we know we're going to have 3 of these. And then this one is going to be step 2. And then This one is step 3. Okay, awesome. And now we want to add another row in between here. And just bear with me while we get all the structure set up, and it'll all make sense here in a minute when we start pulling all the stuff together. So inside this one, we want to have a name and email address field. And if you want to do shipping information, you could certainly do that inside here as well. But we're just going to do name and email address. We're going to say this is an information product. So we're just going to do name and email address on this one. We don't need to ship anything. So we're going to add a new input field. There we go. New input field. And we're going to make this one the name field. So we're going to say this is the full name. And we're going to say your name here. Just like that. And you have the option to set that required or not required. We're going to go ahead and set that as required. And text size is okay. Font size is set to 16. So that's okay. We're good with that. So I think that one looks okay. And then let's go ahead and just duplicate this field. And we're going to give this one a little bit of top margin. So there's a little separation there. Maybe 10 pixels is good. And then we're going to set this one to be the email. And then we're going to say your email address here. Okay, and email address is always required out of the box. So we're good with that. And then the next thing we want to do is we want a button. And this button is going to be left aligned is what I like it to be. It could be centered, but this is going to be our next step button. This is what they're going to click to say, hey, I filled in my name and email address. I'm ready to go to the next step. So we're going to go ahead and click next step. So we're going to click that button. And I like it to be left aligned because it lines up with the fields and it's a little more obvious that way what they need to do. And so we can go to advanced and we can go to, what are we looking for here? Should be a button align. There we go. It's at the very bottom, button align left. And instead of saying click to sign up, it is going to be next step. And so that's good to go there. And then for our set action, this is just fine to have it set to the hashtag. So we're good to go there. And then, so we've got that, and then we want to go ahead and let's go ahead and just duplicate this row, and we're going to go ahead and bounce this down a block. That way we've got our same white background. We've got one in there, and let's go ahead and just duplicate and put it down one more. So we've got now our next step button, and in this one, the button is actually going to be our order button or our buy button. So we might want to do something a little bit different there. So I'm going to make this one bigger. We're going to make this one 40, and we're gonna, instead of saying next step, we're gonna say something like, this was actually something Russell said I thought was pretty powerful. I haven't come up with the ideal solution yet, but we've seen that when you say something like complete, that it completes a loop. So it might keep people from actually thinking they're done. They don't, and then lowers conversion on your OTO pages. So instead of saying complete your order, do something like, again, like above, which was unlock access now. Or what I've seen a lot of people do, seems to be pretty common, especially with some bigger names, is submit order. Submit for people is, I think people understand that when they're doing that, they're actually submitting their credit card details and they're going to get charged. So that's an easy thing to understand. So we've got that. So we're just going to use that actually, submit order. I want that button to be centered. So we're going to go ahead and make this one centered. And I might want to actually play with my horizontal space a little bit. I want to say 40 on that one. I want to make it a little bit wider. I don't want it to be full width, but I do want it to be a little bit wider. So we're looking good there. I want to give a little bit of padding between these. So I'm going to add a little bit of top margin to this. So I'm going to add, say, 10 pixels of top margin to each of these little headline rows here. Okay, so we're good there. And then for this one, now we've got our name and email address. That's step one. The next one we want is we want the credit card details. So let's go ahead and get rid of these fields. So we're going to go ahead and delete that. And we're going to delete that. And we're going to go ahead and add a new element here. And we're going to make this our credit card field. And we're going to go ahead and drag that back up above this one. Okay, so now we've got to get our credit card here. And so I think this one might have some top margin by default, so we can probably get rid of that. We don't necessarily need that there. I like to make these, bump these input sizes up a little bit, especially nowadays. It seems big and chunky is the way to go. And our labels as well can be a little bit bigger. So we've got those. So we're good to go on that. So that's all we need: name, email address, credit card information. And then down below, this is where we're going to have our bump offer. It's like, okay, we want that bump to kind of come in as a, oh, hey, there's this other option. But they don't, it's not something they need to think about until we're ready for them to see it, until they've kind of done the micro commitments that, yep, they're ready to buy. So let's go ahead and insert our bump element. And the other cool thing about this is you've got some time, you can put some extra fancy text around it, all kinds of other stuff. So let's go ahead and do our bump element, order bump, there we go. And we want that to be up above as well. So now we've got an order bump, and out of the box, this one has some margin. We don't need that. And let's add a little space here above our button. Margin, let's do 30 on that one. Okay, great. And so in our bump, let's just, let's give it a little bit more punch, one-time offer. One thing I would recommend on this is that I like to have the price on here. We said our price was $47. Something like that. It could be only $47. So it's super obvious. In the red bold text, it's super obvious that the price is right there. If this is confusing to people, if they don't understand how much it costs, or they don't, don't like it for some reason, they'll either not get it, or they'll buy it, but then they'll contact customer support, or they'll do a chargeback saying, hey, I didn't realize this thing was $47. I just checked the box saying I want it, and all of a sudden I'm get charged extra $47. And that's not what you want. It leaves a bad taste in the customer's mouth, leaves a bad taste in your mouth because you have to handle chargebacks and all that. So make sure that price is super clear in here. It should also be in your text and be super clear, but I like to put the price in that line here, or use something like the new CF Bump content add-on, which is one of the things that we used in tonight's masterclass, and it actually gives you the ability to make that text all super pretty and formatted. And if we have time today, I'll run through how to use that one as well. It's super easy, but if not, just jump into the CF Pro Tools or Funnel U members areas and look for the CF Bump content add-on, and you'll see exactly how to use the thing. It's super simple. So I like to bump up the size of this a little bit. So we'll make that like that, and then bump up the text size. So there, we're like big and chunky. And then we'll just leave that like it is for now. And I think that's good enough. And then the other thing that we would probably want to do is I do like to put an order summary element on my pages to make sure that the customer understands what it is they're buying. Again, don't want chargebacks, you don't want disputes, you don't want somebody contacting you, reaming you out on your customer support because they didn't realize what they were being charged or what they were buying. You don't want them going on Facebook and talking about how you're a scammer because you didn't tell them how much it was going to cost before they submitted the order. So those are just things to be aware of. I like to put order summaries on my pages, and I like to make sure that the price is super obvious on the order bumps. Those are a couple of mistakes I see people make, and probably the two things that will get you in the biggest trouble if you don't do it. So this is what we've got. If you were to just lay this out, this would be a one-step order form. But we're going to make this so that it actually expands and collapses and hides these areas. And we're going to do that with an add-on called the CF Accordion order form. So let me actually pull up that code. And I'm going to pull that over here so we can kind of walk through it. And then I'm going to show you how to finish the exact setup. So what this does is super simple. It's just you need to identify a couple things: a step 1 button, a step 2 button, and then we need to identify a step 2 row and a step 3 row so that we can properly show and hide those things. And so we're going to grab all of this code. This is going to be inside the members area when it's ready to go. It'll be called probably something like CF Accordion order form or CF3 step order form. But I'm just going to grab all this code now. So just know that there's a little bit of custom code. It's not a ton, as you can see here, but we need to do some custom setup stuff inside of CF Pro Tools, or inside of our ClickFunnels editor. So I'm going to grab the code, and I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to go setting, tracking code, and footer code, and I'm gonna paste that stuff in. And then the next thing we need to do is actually name these rows. And so we want this to be called, and we go to this row and we click it and we go to our little hashtag icon. And then we, let's bounce back into code and step 2 row. And I want to just call this thing like something like CF or step 1 headline. That one's not really referenced anywhere. The one that we want to highlight is this row, but I like to keep track of these things, and this is how I do it. I name them, I give them the CSS title, and we're going to call this one step 1 row. Step 1 row. That is how the code knows where to find this step 1, and then we're going to name this button right here so that the code knows when somebody clicks on this what it's supposed to do. So we call that one step 1 button, and we click update. And so now we've got the step 1 set up. Now we need to do the same thing for step 2. So we're going to go in here to settings. We're going to go in here to the CSS info, and we're going to call this step -1 headline update. And we're going to call this, oh, did I call that step 1? I meant step 2. Let's get this one, step 2 row. And let me double check this here. I think I called this step 2 or step 1 headlines, just to make sure. Yep. That should be step 2. There we go. And so we called this step 2 row, and now we need to name our button. So if we get, again, go to our CSS info, and we want to call this one step 2 button, and update that. And then now we're going to go down to step 3 and do the same thing. So this just helps us, it helps as a code so it can identify on the page where these elements are at. So we're going to call this step 3 headline update, and then we're going to call this row here, everything that wraps it, we're going to call this step 3 row. And I'm gonna highlight all that and type step 3 row, update. And now on this one, we don't need to do anything naming wise of the button because it's just a regular order button. So we're just gonna make this be our submit page, submit order, submit form. So that's all we got there. So nothing special with the button on this one. These two, we named the buttons step 1 button and step 2 button. And so we've got our page set up now. The next thing that we want to do is we have step 1, we want step 2 and step 3. We want these to be hidden. Sorry, I've still got a little extension turned on here so you can see. I've got a hide button. This is a fake. This doesn't exist in your account. It'll be there eventually. It's part of the CF Pro Tools extension I've been working on. But we want to go to the gear and then click the little hide so it goes away. And then the same thing here. Click the settings and then click the little hide so it goes away. And so this is what we have. Step 1, step 2, step 3. This is what we want the users to see. So if we did this right, fingers crossed, bear with me. Fingers crossed, let's jump back in. Oh, it's not liking something. It's not letting me save my page. That generally means it doesn't like something about my code. So let's just fix this live while we're at it. Let's see, what might it not like? No, what it doesn't like. Let me just double check something here. I love when things act up live. Okay. We said we're going to do Ninja Hackery, so here's some Ninja Hackery. I'm going to try and inspect why the editor is throwing me an error right now. r.getClientRex is not a function. That's not. Yeah, so the server response says, so this is Cloudflare telling me, this one here, server response status of 403. It's trying to save my page. And this is Cloudflare telling me that it doesn't like something about my code, doesn't like something about this code, so it's kicking it back out saying, hey, this is a security threat. I don't know why that is. This one's not one we've run into before. So you know what it is? It's the selector right here. I have run into that before. It doesn't like this selector. For some reason, it thinks that that is some sort of secure thing. So we're going to change that to CFPT selector. And I'm actually going to save that because I don't want everybody else to have that. And now we're going to go in and change this, and we should be golden. Code, and we're going to paste that in. And we're going to save. And now it's saving. Okay, cool. Little detour, but I think we got where we wanted to go. And so now let's go and do a quick preview. Yeah, let's see what we get. Fingers crossed. Everything works like it's supposed to. I see right away one thing we didn't do is actually link this button so it goes to the order form. We'll want to do that. But if we scroll to the order form, now we have our step 1. And then if we click next step, did it open up? Nope. So we got something going on here. We didn't do something right. So that's good. So let's fix up a couple things and then go back into it. So we've got one thing is we want to, let's name this section so that we can identify it easily and so we can have our big button at the top, scroll down to it. So I'm just going to call this one order forms or order form. Cool. I'm going to update that. And then I'm going to go up to this button here and I want it to scroll to that section of the page when somebody clicks it. So I'm going to set action and I'm going to go to scroll to row / section on page. And I'm going to go to my order form section. And that's what I want to do. So if I click save on that, let's just preview that real quick and make sure that piece is at least working. And so now if somebody comes in, they watch the video, they got the big old button, unlock immediate access, they click the button, it should scroll them to the page. Now, since there's no, that's the end of the page, it's going to scroll down as far as it can so they can see that at least. But if you had a really long page below that, then it would scroll to the top of that step 1. So that is working. That's what we want there. On mobile, that probably scroll them just to the top of that. So that's great. So let's see what we did wrong here with our next step. Let's take a look at our code and see if we missed something. Step 1 button, data on click. We want to data title, step 2 row, show, scroll to the top. So that should be working. Let's make sure we don't have any errors. So let's do another, let's make sure that we've, let's unhide our rows here. And let's unhide these. Step 2 row, step 3 row. Let's make sure that we got these named right. Step 2 row. So let's look at our code. Yep, step 2 row. Okay, awesome. So that should be working right. So we've got something that is not quite right here. So I bet we're hitting an error somewhere. So let's hit save on this. And then let's go in here. And okay, so great. So now let's open up our console and inspect this. Is this piece useful, this kind of going into the inspector and taking a look at some of the code? If somebody give me a shout, let me know. This is kind of a little bit of ninja hackery that's not the norm. I don't necessarily share a whole lot of this stuff, but I don't know, kind of show you everything that's going on behind the scenes. So as far as being able to jump in and kind of figure out why a page isn't working, what's going wrong, it'd be awesome to know if this is useful for you. So if somebody could give me a shout down in the chat. Okay, awesome. Jackson said, yes, I love this kind of troubleshooting. So that's awesome. Thanks. Awesome. Tom says, yes, this is instructive to see the extra details. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. Yep. Okay, cool. So we'll keep hammering along here. And I think this has to do with this can't read property of too lowercase of undefined. So there is an issue going on. Okay, this may not be part of a problem. This is a ClickFunnels error. Can't read property of too lowercase. So it doesn't like something on this page, but that's okay. I don't think that's why our next step isn't working. So if we click that, okay, let's go back in and let's go ahead and hide our rows again and see if we get any errors. So we're going to hide that and we're going to hide that. And we're going to save this again. And let's do a preview again. Oh, you know what? Did I, let me take a look at my code again. Did I? Yeah, no, all right. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we're back in our preview. Okay, so let's take a look here. So we've got our next step. Let's go ahead and open our console again, just to make sure we don't throw an error along in the process. And then click next step. And it's just scrolling us back up at the top. It's not So this is what I'm going to do here. I want to actually take a chunk of this code and I want to run it right in the console and see if it works that way. And then that helps me to determine if there's a problem with the code or if there's a problem on the page. So there, that code works. So that should be firing. So let's do this. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to jump into my editor. I'm going to put a little debug code right in to make sure is my click actually being called. So right here where it says data title step 1 button on click. Well, here, let's check the step 2 button because I named that one as well. That one still doesn't work. Okay, so let's put a little, we're going to put a little debug code in here just to make sure that the click event is actually being registered. So I'm just going to add in, just to do it right in here. So, and if you want to ever output something to our little developer console, you can just put the word console.log, and I'm just going to put button 1 clicked and close that out. And I'm just going to save that. And then I'm going to refresh my preview page, and I'm just going to make sure that that click event is actually happening. Because I think it's not for some reason. And it might have to do with our error message here, and we might have to work around that. So our click event is not happening for some reason. What me do, I'm gonna do something I normally don't have to do and shouldn't have to do on this code, but it's gonna help us to determine. We'll notice on this one, when we do the on click and it does a return false here, that's gonna stop that, that click on that link from actually returning and doing that skip to the top. But I'm gonna go ahead and set that on the actual button itself so that it doesn't actually do anything. So I'm gonna put in here JavaScript void 0 and a semicolon. That tells me on this button, when somebody clicks on this button, fire a JavaScript, and I spelled it wrong, so we need to spell it right. JavaScript colon void 0. That means fire this JavaScript, void 0. That means do nothing. And so we're going to do that, and we're going to save that. And that's going to keep us doing our skip to the top. But let me see if that actually fires our button after that point. My guess is it may not. Okay, we're still getting our error here. Not sure why it's getting. Look at this. No, I don't like that. What's this? V3 payment request. That is a built-in ClickFunnels function. Not much I can do about that one. But let's try our little next step now. So now we don't get our scroll to the top, which is kind of what we expect. It shouldn't do anything. And sorry, somebody is pulling in my driveway and I have no idea why. And now they're backing out of my driveway. I live in a new neighborhood, so lots of people drive around and think they can just look at houses and not realize that people actually live here. So sorry about that, little side note. And so, yeah, so I'm not sure quite what's going on here. So we'll have to get this worked out. Let's see if we can't figure this out quickly. If we can't, I don't like templates. I tried deleting the first blue button. Yeah, that's actually, so let's do that. Jackson says, try deleting that. Yeah, some of these things are just a little bit weird. I don't know why it's not liking this button. Let's see. I don't see any other custom code built anywhere. We didn't have any other. I'm gonna get rid of all this custom. Make sure there's nothing. So now our buttons look a little bit more normal without the slants and everything else going on. And let's do another preview. Yeah, I really think it's because of this error here, it's stopping other JavaScript from firing on this page because this JavaScript is embedded, so it's thrown another error. So isn't something I've run into with this code before. This code was perfectly functional. So I'm just going to try, let's see here. I'm going to spend a bunch of time. I don't waste a bunch of your time trying to figure out something that has to do with a Goofy template or something else. So let's do this. I'm going to we're gonna do this a little bit different. See if we can't bypass some of this error stuff right off the bat. See if this has to do with my account. I'm just going to create a new funnel real quick. I'm going to sell product. I'm going to do a sales funnel. Or do 3-step demo 2. And we're not going to go through and do all the plumbing and all that stuff. We're just going to real quickly set up just a completely blank, page. We're going to use an old template that somebody else didn't build and make sure that that's not part of our problem. So we're going to get rid of this. I still do this stuff automatically every time. We get rid of the squeeze page, get rid of the sales page. Even though we don't really need to, we just want to test our order form. I am not going to go through and worry about, oh, you know what? What did I just think of? Okay, can you make this? Okay, one other thing I think this might be. Let me do this. This is an order form, and we don't have a product selector on the page. I think that might be part of our problem. We really don't need a product selector on this page. We do need a product selector on the page. Shouldn't be causing an error, that's for sure. But we don't even need to have it shown because we only have one product, but we do need to put an order select element on the page. And I think that might be why it's throwing that 2 lowercase error, because it can't find the products. So let's throw this up top and put this on here. And rid of this. There we go. And I'm actually just going to hide this element because we really don't need it. We don't need somebody to pick it. There's only one product, so that's okay. And if this fixes it, then that explains exactly why. And I'll probably want to report that to the team so that we're not throwing some errors that stop other custom stuff from happening. But let's see if our error goes away. Hey, our error went away. So that was what was causing the error, which is also what's causing the rest of the code not to fire. So that's going to take care of our problem. Cool. So at least we figured that out. So glad we went through it together. So hopefully that was at least a useful little side jaunt into how to troubleshoot your pages sometimes if things aren't happening the way you're supposed to. So, so this one, we've got the next step. Now when we click it, we should go to step 2, and there we go. And so we've got our little mobile pay button here. Another side note, I would recommend hiding this for right now. Especially in this scenario, because what happens is if I click this, it's going to take me and want me to pay. It's going to take me away from this order form. And as soon as I click pay and then I click pay again, that, hey, I'm authorizing this payment, it's going to go ahead and submit this form and take me on to the next step. And I'm never going to get to see the bump. So I would recommend taking off the mobile pay here. Your mobile pay options with ClickFunnels are built in as part of the credit card element. We don't want that to be the case. So it's kind of meant to be a, hey, click with this or fill in your credit card details. So in this case, that's going to detract from our key objective, which is to get them to take the bump. And so we want them to click the bump and to be able to continue on, but they aren't going to do that if they're clicking mobile pay and they don't ever see the bump. So, so let's go ahead and get rid of this mobile pay. We can do that pretty easily as well if we go ahead and go into settings and then custom CSS. I'm going to share this code as well into the members area somewhere to be able to hide the mobile pay. And the way we do that is to hashtag payment dash request dash button and then curly braces to open up, and then we're going to do display colon none, and then hit semicolon, and then close out the curly braces. And so that says, hey, this payment request button, that's our mobile pay button. Don't display it. It's not actually removing it from the page, it's just not displaying it on the page. So we're going to go ahead and save that. And now if we go into this page, I'm going to go ahead and close out the console so we don't need to see that anymore. And now if we click our unlock, we scroll down, and once it finishes loading, we get this filled out and click next step. Did it not load? Refresh. Maybe I need to add the display none important to it. I believe that is probably the case. It's in custom CSS and display none. We need to add hash, the bang, the exclamation point, important to the end of that. That's what we need to do, because by default it has a display a block set on it, and so we need to override that with the important tag. And so now we've got that, and now let's refresh our page, and we should be good. And so now we can click to go down and click our next step. And now our mobile pay is gone. So perfect. And now if we click next step 3, our next step, and then we'll go on to step 3. So that is the accordion, the accordion order form, or the 3-step order form. There's another component of this though that we haven't done yet, and that is that's actually to have this submit the first step of the contact. And so that when somebody clicks next step and they click this button, then I want to go ahead and submit this information, the first, the name and email address. I want to go ahead and submit that over to ClickFunnels on the back end, so a contact is created, and I can follow up that user and give them my abandoned cart sequence. So that is another chunk of code. And I'm gonna grab this one off screen and make sure I've got this one set up here real quick. So give me a sec to get that one going for you, and then we'll pull that code over. So let's see here. Find the right code. And open that up correctly. I want to open it with my editor. I'm going to do that. Leave it open. Sorry. My editor is being funky on me. Okay, open in the wrong window. There we go. Okay, so now if I go in and take a look at this. So we're going to pull this over. So hopefully you can still see that okay. So let me make sure, if somebody could give me a quick shout out in the chat, make sure that this is, you can still see the code that I've got pulled up over onto the window here. Should still be good, but just want to double check since I had a little weird flake with my editor there. Okay, Tom says he can see it. Awesome. Thank you for that, Tom. So cool. So far, this useful. Is everybody getting something out of this? I hope this is useful. We still got several people hanging out here. Hopefully this is making sense and that I'm going through this well enough. Definitely be sure to ask questions as we go if something doesn't make sense. And definitely at the end, we can go through and answer any questions as well. But hopefully this is making sense. But if somebody could just let me know in the chat and make sure that this is making sense, or you know, this is good stuff, this is valuable, I definitely will make this worthwhile. So if we look through here, this is the actual chunk of code that will allow you to do what we call the AJAX submit of that contact information when they click on the step 1 button. And so step 1, so just to kind of walk through this code real quick, what it does is it says, hey, when somebody clicks an element that has this data title of step 1 button, which is our blue button that says next step on it, the first one. So when somebody clicks that, then do a validate email on this. So in this code, actually, I want this to return false. So if when I call the validate email function with the value of that, if this doesn't validate, actually, we need to. That's probably why this isn't working. I need to actually pass in the actual email address that they submitted. So we're calling the validate email and say, hey, what is the email address we're passing in? So this code isn't quite right. This was a copy. It's been modified since then. Oh, Jackson says he got kicked out briefly and now he's back. Okay, awesome, Jackson. Thanks for the heads up. So this one basically is going to validate the email address to make sure it's a valid email address before we try and submit stuff. So the way it does that is there's actually a validate email function here, big old long function that just makes sure that the format of an email is actually a valid email format. So don't worry about all the gobbledygook here. Even I don't understand half of this. So that's okay. It's just testing that email to make sure it's good. And if the email is valid, then go ahead and set some form vals. And the form vals is basically going to go through each input on the page that's already been filled out and submit and add them to our hidden form inside of ClickFunnels. And then so those values get ready to get prepped and get sent over on the back end. And then behind the scenes, actually do a post to the URL of this page. And on that post, we want to send them the serialized version of our CFAR form, which is the hidden form that ClickFunnels uses to keep all of the actual values that somebody is submitting. So basically it's saying, hey, package up all my data that's already been filled in, which is the name and email address, and go ahead and submit it back to the same page so that ClickFunnels can create a contact out of it. And then once that happens, then just log out to the console that, hey, this contact was created. What I want to do here is I want to actually go in and update this real quick. I'm going to do this on the fly. So this code is wrong. It's been updated and this wasn't quite right. So I'm going to do input name equals email. And so that is how we're going to get that email. And if that's not right, then I want to return false. So that doesn't actually happen. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this code. I'm going to copy that. And then if we do things right here, that's all just going to work. So let's go into settings and then tracking code. We're going to put this in. We're going to put this in. It doesn't matter. We can do it above or below. We're just going to go ahead and go into our code here. And we're going to paste that in. So again, what this is going to do is it's going to say, hey, when somebody clicks on the step 1 button, validate their email address. If it's not valid email address, don't do anything. If it is a valid email address, then go ahead and set the form vals and then go ahead and post that page over to itself. That being said, these things don't work quite right if you're posting, if you're doing this in preview mode. So we're not going to want to do this in preview. We'll actually pull it up and do it in the live URL. So we're going to have to do this slightly differently for our testing, but I want to run through it and hopefully, fingers crossed, everything works the way it's supposed to. And so is this are we on our right? Oh, this is demo step 2. Nope, this is the new one we tried to create. Let's go ahead and get our other one up. And so let's go into funnels. And let's pull up our, well, here, let's just do this. What do? We call this 3-step, right? So 3-step, there we go. We got 3-step demo. So we're going to go into 3-step demo, and then we've got our URL here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this, and I want to copy that, and then I'm going to open up a private little incognito window here, just so we're firing in a fresh session. And now on this, in fact, let's bounce back in just to make sure we're looking at it right. So let's go in now. We're going to open up our contacts tab. And we shouldn't have any contacts because we've not actually submitted this yet, right? We have... actually, no, we did. Did we submit it? Yeah, we've got one contact on here at least about an hour ago. So must have been early on. We submitted this form. But now let's go ahead and go back in to our new one. We're going to refresh. We're going to go ahead and scroll down. We're going to fill this in. We're going to say Jamie Smith, and we're going to do Jamie plus 12, and it's the 8th, 08, 18-2. Which is our unique, because we had -1 already, if I remember correctly. So we had 1206 18-1. So that was from another test. So we're in a different, get back to the right page. Oh, get back to my right tab here. There we go. So we're on 1208 18-2. So this is what I do. For those that aren't familiar, this is how I do my testing. Is always add whatever your email address is. So mine is jamie@cfprotools.com. So you can do Jamie plus, and then whatever comes between the plus and the at is going to get ignored by your email provider. And this works with most email providers nowadays, not all, but it definitely works with Gmail, which is Gmail. I use G Suite to host the CF Pro Tools email. So this will work with my Gmail account. So do whatever's in between there. I like to do the date and then a dash whatever sequence number of the test that I'm running. So if it's test 1, then it's -1. If it's test 2, then it's -2. or -7 or -52 sometimes, whatever you like there. And so now we're going to go ahead and click, I think I actually just clicked next step. So that's what I wanted to do, is click next step. And so that fired. And then let's go in and double check. If we go back to our, sorry, tab one too many times. Oh, did it one more time. Sorry, my computer's being a little laggy with the recording that's going on. If I refresh this page now, we should see our new contact. So just by hitting that next step, I've captured this contact. And what that means is now I can be put into that sequence of saw page but didn't purchase. So if I were to just go in and close out that page now and not complete my purchase, I've at least captured that user's contact information. Or if the customer doesn't purchase, we've at least captured their contact information so that we can then follow up with them and say, hey, did you forget your book? Hey, did you forget your course? Hey, we reserved this copy for you. All you need to do is go back and claim it. Whatever you want to say in your emails. So this is pretty cool. It gives you that two-step order form functionality, but with having it all embedded with kind of the normal one step, we build out the order form ourselves. So a little custom code in there allows you to do that thing. So that's what we got going on there. Those were the two big key kind of ninja hackery things that we did on the 10x Secret order form, was the fact that we had this three-step expandable order form, as well as the submitting of this data whenever somebody clicks this next step on the step 1 button. It actually will submit their data behind the scenes so they capture their contact information to follow up with them. And then with a good sequence that follows up with them there, you can actually figure out, you might ask questions along the way, like, hey, hey, I noticed that you stopped in and were interested. Did we do something wrong? Was there an error? And then if that way, and give them a chance and say, if so, please just shoot us a reply back to this email and we'll be happy to help out. So that may be the case. They may be just ran into a problem, and let them email you and say, yeah, oh yeah, I meant to order, or when I click submit, it didn't go through for some reason, or my credit card got declined, or whatever, so that you can follow up with them and say, oh, hey, we'd love to help you. Give us a call. Go, order over the phone, or whatever, especially if it is a high-end product. If you're doing a $1,000 product, you want to be able to help that person. If all they had was a little technical issue, you want to be able to help them and follow up with them. So this is a great way to do that. The other thing would be for common objection handling. You could set up a sequence of a non-buyer sequence that says, hey, they landed, they were obviously interested enough to put in their name and email address, but they just couldn't quite get themselves to pull the trigger by putting in their credit card information. Usually you can check to see if there's a failed credit card charge, then okay, their charge didn't go through. So you could follow up with them there. But if they don't even have that, all you have is the name and email address, then they didn't even put in their credit card information, and they just got scared. They didn't pull the trigger. So you can follow up with an email series that says, hey, and it's probably not step 1. Step 1's probably, hey, did something go wrong? And you'll probably notice in Russell's, if you ever go through the .com Secrets book funnel, Expert Secrets book funnel, you'll notice that if you go and fill in step 1 of the two-step order form, that and don't buy, then which you should buy. I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you're testing like I do a lot, you'll get added to a sequence and it will say, hey, did something go wrong? And then that's the one that you lead with, like, oh, hey, I noticed that you reserved a copy of the book but didn't complete. Did something happen technical wise? Because that happens sometimes. People get distracted, and that's all it takes is, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot I did that thing, and they come back. But the next one in the sequence is, hey, I noticed that you added this to your cart, and and you didn't complete your purchase. Generally, what happens is one of two things. You're not interested, or you're interested. And in fact, I did a video on this the other night, kind of explain this process. If you're interested, go check out the CF Pro Tools Facebook page, just facebook.com/CF Pro Tools. This was something that I learned the other night from. Now I'm going to Vincent Antonio, I believe is his name. Someone shared the video and I watched it. It was actually Dave Fry, a good friend of mine, Dave Fry, shared the video in another Facebook group. And so I went and watched it, and he said this about objection handling, and I thought it was really, really genius. And that was that when you're faced with, especially if you're doing high ticket sales or you're doing face-to-face or you're on the phone or you're in a meeting with somebody and they say, you know what, I heard everything you had to say. Thanks for taking the time, but I really just need to think about it. Instead of ever leaving that meeting, instead of ever leaving that point of transaction with that, I just need to think about it. Because generally what's going to happen is that they're either not going to think about it, or they're going to think about it and forgot 75% of what you actually said, and make a decision based on that remaining percentage. And of that remaining percentage they remember talking about, they're probably going to have that incorrect. And then so they're probably only going to get about 5% of what you said actually correct when they go back to think about it. And so they're never going to actually make the purchase. So you don't ever want to leave that transaction in that state. So what you can say then is to say, hey, okay, I totally understand, but here's what I kind of learned over my experience, that when somebody says they need a chance to think about it, it means one of two things. It means either you're not interested, or you're interested, but you're just not sure yet. Can you let me know which one is you? And they'll either say, you know what, I'm just not really interested. And you say, hey, that's no problem. I understand. And I don't want to waste any more of your time. I don't want to waste any more of my time, and just move on. If they're not interested, they're not interested. No point in belaboring the point, or at that point you lose some of your positioning if you start to grovel. So that's one way to go. There's certainly other ways to go if you wanted to really try and get them interested. But if you've been through a 90-minute presentation with them and they're still not interested, it's a pretty good chance they're never going to be interested. So let that one go. But a lot of times what you'll see is, I'm interested, because they just sat through a presentation with you. They just went through this long form sales page, or they just sat through your webinar. So they're probably interested. They probably wouldn't have spent that time. They probably wouldn't be at the end of the meeting if they weren't interested. So they're probably gonna say, yep, I'm interested, I'm just not sure. And then that opens the door to have a conversation about, okay, what is it you're not sure about? And that generally leads to a few things. So you can say, okay, that's great, thank you. So now what I've found from my experience is that most people that are interested, but they're not quite sure yet, it falls into one of three categories. Either they're not quite sure how this will help them, or they're not quite sure that it has all the features that they need, or it's a financial concern. So, do you understand? Do you see how this, my solution, my package, my course, my whatever, my software, do you see how this can benefit you in your situation? And if they say, I don't really, I'm not quite sure I understand how this is going to benefit me, then you can address that objection. But if they say, yeah, I totally see how this is going to benefit my business, then you're like, okay, awesome. You've just got them to agree that this thing will benefit their business. So that's a great place to be in. And then the next from there is, and I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen here real quick, just so we can see a little bit more of my face. Let me stop share real quick. So, okay, so you've gone through that. So you've got them, now you've figured out they're either objection one or they're not, and say, okay, they're interested. They understand how this might benefit their business. That's great. You've got them to kind of commit to that, to saying yes to that. And so, yep, I can see how I can understand how this can benefit my business. Okay, so now, is there something about the solution that you're not quite sure whether it has everything that you need? And they might say, you know what, you're right. I think I need this thing, and I didn't really see in what we talked about. I didn't hear it in the sales page. I didn't see it in the presentation. I didn't hear it on the webinar, how this might solve this problem for me. Then you can address that and say, you know what, that makes sense. Okay, great. So here's the way that we would solve that. Or, you've got custom piece of software. You know what, we can develop that in. And then you would have a solution to that problem. If we're ready to go ahead and get started, if that's your hang up, if that's your concern, then let's crush that one and move past it. But a lot of times it's going to come to the third, which is, you know what, no, I think that, yep, I can see how this benefits me, and I think it has everything that I would need. But it's more money than I'm willing to spend a day, or it's more money than I expected it to be, or I just don't know if a lot of times it's going to be, if I spend $1,000, my spouse is going to get mad at me. So it's a financial concern. And then you can address that financial concern. And Russell has a ton of great scripts on how to address that. The fact that, you can find something with a credit card, you're already in debt. that's not going to change. Being more in debt is not going to change unless you do something to change it. And this is your way to get out of that. This is your way to make more money. So don't worry about the finances. Or what, MasterCard, credit card, MasterCard, Visa, they do these great programs where they actually allow you to pay it. Or the one you can offer is at that point is oh, I totally understand. And this could be done in email sequence as well. You could send them to an alternate order form where you say, what, I totally get that sometimes $1,000 purchase might be a little bit too much to bear all at one time. So I would like to offer you one last chance, or one last solution, which is if you'd like to do 3 payments over the next 3 months of just $299 each month for the next 3 months, then I'll get you access into this system. And that gets them to actually take the action. Say, okay, I just can't afford to pay $1,000 today, but if I could break that out over a period of time, then that would be great. So you could actually craft out an email sequence as you're in your abandoned cart. Now, you may not want to go through all this trouble if you're selling a $19 widget, but if you're doing a $997 course, or you're doing a high ticket close, or you're doing something like that, then it might very well be worth crafting out a well-tuned abandoned cart sequence to follow up with people. And so having this sort of 2-step order form, or in this case, a 3-step order form that allows you to follow up with that person if they didn't complete their transaction, could be huge in increasing your overall conversions long-term, and by being able to handle those kind of abandoned cart reasons, objections through an automated email sequence. So that's something I think that could be very cool with this. And that's why we built this in. To be able to do this name and email address. I've actually used this. This code, as with a lot of things, I've got code written. I mean, you probably saw, if I go back and share my screen again, if you see here, and let's get to the right desktop 3, here we go, share this again. And now if I get back into my right version of my editor here, and scroll and pull over the right one. So this is the Sierra Pro Tools library. You'll see that on this here, this list is huge. We've got a ton of code, and this is not even all of it. But there's a ton of different files in here, and these all represent different add-ons that I built over time. And not all of these things are in the members area. A lot of these things are things that I built out that just have never been used. So we've, I built out this huge library of things. This is Ajax Submit was one of those things that was built out. I built out a request, I believe the first time, from Ed Dale. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Ed Dale, but he is an internet marketing legend. And had reached out, I think early on, he was looking at getting into using ClickFunnels. Luckily, someone convinced him he should do that. And he actually met a good friend of mine, Liz Benny, at a conference. Liz is from New Zealand, Ed is from Australia. They were, I believe, at a conference somewhere in Australia. And Ed met Liz and was talking to her about ClickFunnels. And she said, oh, well, you should connect with Jamie Smith and he can help you out. And so Ed connected with me, and I said, he's like, hey, I've got this page built in WordPress, and it does this one thing that is really cool, and it is that it collects name and email address on a little embedded form on the page, and when they click submit, it just submits that on the back end. They never leave the page, and then it replaces with a here's how to download your PDF. So he has to build that out. So I built this Ajax code for Ed way back in the day. And so I pull those things up anytime we see, hey, this is something we could use to improve our sales pages, improve our conversions, and all that. It's something that I try and build in, and then roll out to the rest of the community to use that to kind of help this out. So this is one that we kind of reused, and eventually it'll be inside of the members area as an add-on, which is the Ajax, and we'll probably call this something I don't even know what we'll call this one yet, but it'll be coming soon, and I will do an email out to an email blast out to the group to say, hey, here's the code, you can go grab it now. And we'll have full instruction videos on each of these. So you've got the accordion order form, you've got the Ajax submit for this name and email address, and all that stuff will be available inside of the members area once I get those things built out. So that being said, let's get out and make sure I have got everything pulled up here. And Jackson says, "Yep, a line I've used many times. I saw in pest control." Yep, totally. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. I love that video from I believe his name was Vincent Antonio. It did a great job. It was actually a podcast. I should say it's a video. It was actually a podcast episode. So I think it was on YouTube, but it was literally just a podcast. The audio ripped into a video format. Okay, great. So those were the big things that I wanted to cover today. And then the other thing that I just want to kind of show off a little bit, because this one I hopefully will have launched later today. It's of course, it's starting to get dark out here. You might have noticed my lighting has changed significantly. I've got more glow of my screen on my face than I have sunlight now. But one of the other things that I'm hoping to get launched today that's been in the works for quite some time is the new PayPal add-on from CFO Tools. And this one, I think people are going to be pretty excited about. I'm actually going through and making a few tweaks to make sure that it works properly on the two-step order form. And I've embedded it for one-step order forms right now, and it's working very well. And this is a little bit different. I'm just going to pull up this funnel here, and we'll just kind of show you how this works live. So if you're excited to see the option to have the ability to do both credit card and PayPal on the same order form, then give me a shout here in the chat. Let me know that, because this is one that I've been looking at adding into CFO Tools as an order form option for a while. I've got a lot of people that are PayPal customers that would like to use PayPal to sign up for CFO Tools. We don't use a lot with ClickFunnels. We don't really offer PayPal as an option for ClickFunnels, very much so because Russell is not a PayPal fan. I also am not a huge PayPal fan, but a lot of my customers are, and so I want to be able to offer that as an option. The problem is we did recently add a PayPal integration option directly into ClickFunnels, which is great. The problem is that it's one or the other. It's set up so that it's you can offer PayPal as an integration, so you create your product and your product is tied to PayPal. But when you do that, it removes the ability for the credit card payment to take place on your order form. So it actually removes the credit card form entirely. It just replaces your credit card form with a PayPal buy button. That's great as a PayPal option, but a lot of times you don't want to just say, hey, buy with PayPal and have PayPal be the only option, because a lot of people don't want to use PayPal. Depending on your audience, a lot of people don't want to use PayPal. They just they're not comfortable with PayPal. They'd rather just pay with their credit card. And so not having the ability to do PayPal and credit card has been a little bit of a stumbling block. So I built out a solution for that, and I think it works pretty well, but I'd love to get some feedback on it. So while I've got a group of people on here, if you're interested, I'd be happy to show it off a little bit. Tom says, yeah, PayPal and credit card on the same form is a good option to have. And Jackson says, yeah, that could be great. So if you guys are cool with it, I'll just kind of run through real quick how this works. I'd love to get some feedback, and then I'm hoping to roll out the code later today. The setup is not as simple and straightforward as I'd like it to be, but I think it's still reasonably straightforward. So it's hopefully a good solution. So I'm going to actually, I just go ahead and grab this page here. I'm going to open up an incognito window, and we'll just kind of run through this real quick. And I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on the interaction, the actual customer-facing interaction of how this works. And then we'll kind of step through a little bit how it's actually set up in the back end, and hopefully that makes sense as well. So we've got here just a basic one-step order form. Name, email address, shipping address, and then here's our option. We've got a product selector. You could have multiple products attached to this. So if you wanted to have, if you had, buy one widget, buy two widget, buy 7 widgets, whatever. Then you'd be able to have that option. And Jackson says, are all the things that you've shown today on the VIP Club members area? They are not yet, but they will be very, very soon. I've got the code ready. I just need to go through and record the videos, kind of what we've gone through today, like how to set them up. I'll be recording individual videos for those and throwing those in the members area. So I hope to have that stuff all done by the end of the weekend. So they will definitely all be there. The Ajax submit for the name and email address will be there, as well as the accordion order form, the 3-step order form will be there. And then hopefully as well, this PayPal payment option will be there as well, hopefully by the end of the weekend. And also the video the video options for how to set up Cloudflare Stream, as well as to do the same for Vimeo. And then we walk through how to use Wistia to do that video solution. So you can certainly just use Wistia there if you want to do that, but I'll have some video how to restart back in the beginning, how to play muted and all that stuff in the members area as well, hopefully by the end of the weekend. So we're on just a basic one-step order form here. We've got the name, email address, shipping address, and then we've got a product selector, which is, all this stuff's pretty standard. And then here, instead of having just a basic credit card form, we've got a purchase payment selector. So do you want to pay with PayPal or do you want to pay with credit card? And we give the user the ability to click on, if they want to pay with credit card, they check that and they get a credit card form. If they want to pay with PayPal, they click that and it says, hey, here's the PayPal logo. This is just an image, so you can insert whatever image you want there, or you could just have a headline. But click the button below to pay with PayPal, choose PayPal credit, take up 6 months to pay it, which is the cool thing. It's like, let people know that, hey, if you have, this is how to handle that objection. Hey, you know, if you can't pay $1,000 today, choose PayPal and click 6 months, click PayPal credit and take 6 months to pay. It's all on PayPal. The great thing about that is that you as the provider, as the creator, get paid 100% immediately. PayPal will pay you the $9.97, and then they take the money out over time from the customer. And if the customer doesn't pay what they've agreed to pay, then PayPal is the one that follows up and does all the collections, which is pretty cool. So you get your money right away, and PayPal will collect their money over time. So it's a good option. So basically toggles back and forth. Do I want to pay with PayPal? Do I want to pay with credit card? You'll notice up here, I've actually named my products 2 different things. So we can see the products actually switch. So if I pay with credit card, you'll notice it says testing Stripe product. And if I click pay with PayPal, it says testing PayPal. It's actually behind the scenes swapping out 2 different products here. I've got some code in place that wires these 2 products together. So I can say, hey, the $97 Stripe product and the $97 PayPal product are the same product. And if I had a $47, I could tie those together and say they're the same product. And I just need to, they're the same physical or conceptual thing. They're just 2 different product IDs in ClickFunnels. But whenever somebody changes their payment method, automatically change which product it is they're purchasing. And it does the same thing with the bump. So if I say, hey, yes, I want to take the bump, then we'll notice that I'm paying with PayPal. So I've got a PayPal bump product for $37. But if I click pay with credit card, now I've got a Stripe bump product for $37. Now you would probably set this up so that your products inside of ClickFunnels were named exactly the same thing, so that the customer doesn't get confused, like, well, what are these different products? But you might want to identify them as, product A, in parentheses, PP or PayPal or whatever, so that they understand, so that you understand that. But regardless, they show up in the stats as individual products, so you can see who bought more with PayPal or with Stripe. You can compare them and do kind of comparison of which is most popular, which payment method is most popular here. And then the other thing is, based on the order you put these things on the page, is the one that will be default by the first. So if you by default wanted people to pay in Stripe, then you can make pay with credit card your #1 option, and then people would have to click pay with PayPal. And then they would get that option. Or if you want to PayPal, it's like, hey, I think most people want to pay with PayPal, so I'm going to make that first option. It's going to be the expanded one by default, and then the next option would be pay with credit card. Then you could do that. But if you want to pay with credit card to be at the top, you just put that row first, and it will be automatically selected as your default option. And then they would have to select pay with PayPal, and it would be down below here. So, but in this one, I've got my order form set. I say, hey, I want to pay with PayPal. And let's just assume I've filled all this stuff in. I've got my name and email address up above. But now if I click the buy now, the other thing is you get your regular buy now button. It's your button. You get to control what it says. It can be unlock access. It can be buy now. It can be complete your order. It can be whatever you want. You control this marketing message, versus with the PayPal integration directly in ClickFunnels, it replaces this button entirely. It replaces this with just a PayPal button. And it says PayPal or PayPal credit. So you kind of lose that marketing punch of what this button says. But now if I click this button, then it replaces it with the PayPal or PayPal credit option. And so now it's like, okay, cool. So you got kind of this cool effect of, okay, now I've got a PayPal button. And now if I click that, and it actually, it went off my screen. Okay, this might have to, gotta love this. It might have to do with the recording here, but it is closing things out for me right away. Let me just check my inspector here. Make sure we've not got some weird error going on. Oh, you know what? It's because I didn't fill everything in. I do have to fill it on it. So let's put this in. So if somebody hasn't filled out their order form all the way, then they have to fill that in. Okay, now we should be able to go and actually do the PayPal. So, and this is, just by the way, this is actually all using the direct integration with ClickFunnels, the PayPal integration. So it shows up in your stats and counts and processes and everything directly through ClickFunnels. It's just like setting up any other PayPal product integration. You're setting up just a regular ClickFunnels product. You just choose your PayPal payment gateway. And then same with Stripe. So you're basically just setting up two products in your product setup. You're setting up a PayPal version and a Stripe version. But the page actually uses the direct integrations of both. Which is the thing that ClickFunnels doesn't do now. You can't have both on the same page, but I've kind of bypassed that. So you can now have both integrations on the same page, and then the customer just has to choose which one they want to use. So now I have my PayPal button. So now I can click that, and on this, now it pops up this little PayPal. And if you've used the ClickFunnels PayPal integration, it's the exact same one. I actually built out this code and I handed it off to Todd, and the team went and ran with it and implemented this integration, which is called the PayPal Express Checkout payment flow. And so we've got now in the same page, just a little pop-up window. If we click on this, it's going to go back and say, hey, don't see the secure browser, click to continue, and it'll bring that right back. And if they, so it's right there. And if they click this, then it'll actually close that out and take them right back to this page. They never left your sales page, versus having an embedded PayPal button that you click on and it takes you over to PayPal and log in. If you go over to PayPal and log in, then they just close it and now they're gone from your sales page forever and there's nothing you can do about it. So I really, really like this implementation. It's called Express Checkout. Kind of blocks this out. PayPal does a great job of trying to center this on the page and make it look like it's part of the page. And it tells them up above, hey, you're getting ready to spend $84. You need to expand that out and it'll tell you what's included in that $84. So they do a great job there. It'll tell you which store. This one's because it's attached to my PayPal test account, my PayPal sandbox. So it's called Test Facilitators Test Store, but you'll have control over that in your integration. But you can see what they're spending. They can see there and they can say, hey, I want to log in with my PayPal account and pay. And so I'm just going to log in. This is my PayPal sandbox email address and my password, and then I log in, and then it's going to take me in, and this is just the first time through, so I have to log into my PayPal account, which would be completely normal. Someone would have to do this even if they went straight to PayPal. It's a little slower because it's on Sandbox. It is a little faster on the production environment. So now they get to choose, okay, where do you want to, how do you want to pay with this? So I want to pay with my PayPal balance, I want to pay with the credit card, or my credit union account that I have attached. Again, these are all Sandbox stuff that PayPal sets this up for you automatically. I want to pay with my credit card. So, and then all I have to do is click the Pay Now. And then when I click Pay Now, then I go back to my order form, but my order form is now submitting. And so now my order form has been submitted. I purchased that product using PayPal. And now I'm on an OTO page. And now guess what? Because I've purchased on PayPal once, now, again, this is an OTO page. You would recognize this as exactly what an OTO page would look like. You've got your own button, you've got your own link, you've got a no thanks link. This is just a regular looking OTO page that has been proven to convert really well in ClickFunnels. The beauty of it is because this page now knows that I paid with PayPal. Now if I click my yes, add to my order, I get my PayPal buttons. And I can choose again, PayPal or PayPal credit. Now if I click PayPal, same thing. I get, it's actually pulled up off screen on this one because I have 3 screens going. So, but I get my Express Checkout again. And this time it knows that I'm logged in. I was already logged in. So it just takes me right here. And now all I have to do is pay now. And I click Pay Now, and then it goes through. And now I've completed my OTO. And now I go through and I can say, yep, I bought my core product, I got my PayPal bump product, and I got my OTO product. And I've got them purchased right there, just like that. And so that's the new PayPal add-on. So that's the one that will be coming out soon. And then again, if I wanted to go back to this, let me go back to my order page. And so I'm on my order page now. I'm gonna go ahead and change out my email address here, and I'm gonna make this Tollway 18-3. And let's say I do my pay with credit card. Now I'm gonna pay with credit card, and now I'm in test mode, so I can just do my test credit card. And I fill in my year here. So now I've got my credit card information, and now I've got my Stripe product and my Stripe Bump product. And now when I do buy now, it submits my order form just like normal. And now it will take me through, eventually, once it processes. Okay, and now I'm on my OTO page, and then I would just click my regular OTO button, just like normal, and it will take me through. Now, I've tested this once, and it might be a little weird because I went through it once before, but no, looks like we're good to go. So now I've purchased my Stripe product, my Bump product, and my OTO product, all with the credit card, all Stripe. And now if I go back in and if I take a look inside my sales tab here, then we should have a couple of new sales coming in here. So we've got, you know, an $84 here that is, and we'll notice we've got our PayPal payment ID. And this one, we've got our PayPal payment ID for this. This was my PayPal purchase. And then otherwise I have my charge ID. This is my Stripe charge ID for these. And you can see that I got my testing PayPal plus Bump, testing Stripe plus Bump. And so that's all good to go. And now if I go and look at my stats, we can see, and if I expand this out, and let's see if we can just pull up for today. It may not show up quite in the stats just yet because it just happened and stats aren't necessarily 100% real time, but let's just take a look and see if it does. Not quite. Yeah, not quite because, yeah, it's not 100% real time, so my Stripe version hasn't gone in there yet, but you can see I do have my PayPal and my PayPal Bump product purchase that are showing here, as well as on the OTO. We can see that I had, yeah, that one hasn't even shown yet there. But you can see that these products are still broken out, so you could compare them together. So let's just add in, I tested this last night, I believe. It was actually a couple nights ago. So we should have some data from there. Let's jump in and take a look at that. So we can see and compare and say, okay, so I've got PayPal product sales and I've got Stripe sales. We can compare and see, okay, so 50% of my sales are coming from PayPal, 50% are coming from Stripe. And so you can kind of compare and see. You could even look at and say, okay, of my PayPal customers, how many of them are buying the Bump? And of my Stripe customers, how many are buying the Bump? So then you could look to see which is your most effective option. So there's some cool stuff that this is going to allow for. So I'm pretty excited about this one. So is this all making sense so far? We've got a few people still hanging out. Tom, Jorge, Jackson are still on. Angela, it's great to see you. Thanks for hanging out with me. But hopefully this is making sense to everybody. Hopefully you're seeing this. Yep. Awesome. Jackson says, yep, this is good stuff. So, okay, cool. Awesome. Well, I think that we've probably spent a ton of time today. I'm sure you guys have better things to do. Jackson, at least I know, is in Idaho. Jorge, I don't remember. Were you in California, maybe? It seems like. I'm trying to remember where Jorge's located at. You guys, it's probably getting late for you there as well. The sun has completely gone down here. But I super, super appreciate everybody hanging out. Hopefully this has been extremely valuable. Yep, and Jorge says, yep, makes perfect sense. And yes, Los Angeles. That's what I was thinking. So yeah, so hopefully this has all been good and valuable. If anybody, unless there's any questions that I can answer while you've got me, I think we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Let everybody get on with their evening and probably go grab some dinner. I'm getting a little bit hungry myself. And I will get the recordings pulled down for this, and I will get them loaded up. What I'll probably do is load them into the SEO Pro Tools members area, but I will put them in a special 10X buyers section. And only those people that bought through this link will get access to that. We've also got some folks in here. I think Jorge and a few other people were in from the actual Two Comma Club X training group. I'll make sure that I get access, get a way to get you access to that as well. So I will make sure that everybody gets access to these, and hopefully this has been useful. And like I said before, I will make sure and get all the code loaded up that we went through today, build out as add-ons, and get the videos recorded for those and loaded into the members area, both in CF Pro Tools and in the VIP Club, as well as in the Funnel U members area, so that if you've got either one of those, that you have access to that, and that you can start using this stuff on your own funnels and see how it works for you. So hopefully this has been useful. Yeah, Tom says very useful, thanks. And Jackson wants to know, have I ever used Typeform? I have not. That is one of the few that I have not used. I've actually used Google Forms, Wufoo. I can't remember a time that I've ever used Typeform. I believe it's fairly decent. It's obviously a popular one as well. So anything specific that I can answer with that, or just out of curiosity? Give Jackson a second to answer back here. There's probably a little bit of a delay on this. So yes, and you're very welcome on the bonuses. Tom, thank you guys for all the support. I do greatly appreciate it. And just for those that are attending from the 10X Secrets, I will be sending out custom t-shirts, CF Pro Tools custom t-shirts for those folks that purchase the 10X Secrets Masterclass through my link. So those will be on their way to you. I still am going through collecting everyone's sizes and shipping information, and I'm actually working with in my opinion, the greatest designer in the world, Jake Leslie, who is our in-house designer at ClickFunnels. He designs all of our sales funnels and basically everything that happens at ClickFunnels. He design-wise, print-wise, t-shirts, socks, hats, everything he has a hand in. So Jake is the man. So I'm going to be working with Jake to come up with a super cool CF Pro Tools t-shirts. I've got these. I've had these printed out myself. I made these myself. I think they look pretty good. That's why I sport it. But I'm going to work with Jake to come up with something super cool. And I will be getting those out to you as soon as possible. But it will likely be several more weeks. But definitely look forward to those things coming out as well. So yeah. So unless there's no other questions, that's right. Unless there are any more questions, I think we'll wrap it up for tonight. And hopefully this has been useful. And I will look forward to doing more of these. So I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. So Jackson says no particular question right now. Just want to see if you knew any cool things about it. Yeah. No, unfortunately not with Typeform. I've not used that one, but yeah, definitely if you use it and make it to good effect, definitely let me know how it goes for you. So hope you have all a wonderful evening, and I'm going to go ahead and close it out for tonight. So I'm going to start shutting stuff down. And as always, if anything comes up, you have any questions, anything that I can help with, be sure to shoot an email to support@cfprotools.com. That will put a ticket into my system and make sure that I can keep track of it and the status of it. It's kind of the best way to keep me on track. So support@cfprotools.com, and I'll answer any questions that I can. And I hope to see you on the next one. Take care.